Hear the car going by. Somebody just started an old carbureted truck and they're pulling out. As soon as I press the start button, I can still hear it. Still hear it. And it's still going. It's about a mile down the road. And now it's finally gone. Truck is so loud you can hear it a mile down the road. Oh, no, I can still hear it. You must have had to stop for somebody. Maybe it's another car. Sounds like the same car, though. That might be another car, because that's ridiculous if you can still hear it down the road. Speed limit's 60, by the way. So, I mean, guy was zooming. It's also 9 o'clock in the morning. People generally go 70 during the morning time because they can get away with it. The earlier, the faster people go. They're either trying to get to work or get home from work. That was well-timed and interesting experience is what I'm going to leave. Anyway, welcome to another Dead by Daylight creation review. Today, I have two things to go over. Gritty, if you pop in, I might as well say this at the beginning, couple minutes. I'm going to be doing yours, and I'm going to be doing Galanonims here recently. Here probably, I hope to shoot for Sunday, but possibly Monday. Either Sunday or Monday, depending on how I'm feeling and if everything can be submitted on Galanonims in. I am deadly sick. Deadly sick. I've been feeling sick for a couple of days now, and I thought I've rested enough and all of that, but no. Still not 100% back yet. Which kind of makes sense. I mean, if all of you know, I've been in kind of a sour mood and things like that. And my attitude and everything that I do is generally comes about my mood. Like if I get sick, my mood drops. So if I've been a little bit bitchy or anything like that, that's probably the reason why. It's because I was getting sick. But that's just something about Q. Give me a moment. I have a notification and I don't want to expose and or piss anybody off. No, that's just Critty commenting on his own post. So that I don't want to have a message or anything somebody sent me being exposed on stream, because generally I check those on a specific day and I just answer all of the messages and everything else I get through the forum at one time. I've been sick here recently. I ain't done any of that in quite some time. And the thing about the forum is, it doesn't actually tell you when you get a direct message from somebody. You have to go into your actual settings or your profile and click on the mailbox before you can actually see if anybody sent you messages. Well, you have to go into your profile and it tells you you have messages and then you click on them. I've seen that I've had messages from a year ago, which I mean, I've caught up and emailed everybody from way back when and apologized because I thought it would be like any other place where you get a message, it pops up in the corner like it does the notifications. But no, it does not. So check your messages. Anytime you got any type of time, click on the inbox and actually go in and look and see if you got anything from anybody. It's kind of ridiculous that it doesn't do that, but I mean, it also It is what it is at the end of the day. I mean, I'm just happy that we have a way that we can express our creations, or a way to completely say that, we're dissatisfied with something that's in the game and needs to be changed. Whether or not they do it or not, who knows? But if, you have a better chance of posting in the forum and it getting seen than making a video about it, unless, you're like a Dead by Daylight YouTuber, then, it's better to make just the video. And then if you want, post the video in the forum and then just have your followers boost the hell out of it. Either way, starting after like 5 minutes, no, 6 minutes of talking and conjecture. It's that critical fish, Galanonim. I will be reviewing yours. Sunday is what I'm shooting for. Monday is the latest. If everything ain't together by Monday, I will just go ahead and separate them and do them however. I'm stalling just as much to where I'm not going to be, just almost drop down sick. So I can give you an accurate assessment on everything. Well, I mean, I generally, for the most part, try to give accurate assessments regardless of how I feel. But so that's not a true statement, but you know what I'm trying to say, I would rather be in upwards of 90 to 100% as opposed to like 70% now. I mean, 70%, generally it only takes about 50% to actually go down and get through most of these Dead by Daylight reviews, because it's just me repeating myself. Ooh, I can't open this. It turns into a different killer, new day type of experience. It's gotten to the point to where I repeat myself so often that people don't even need to watch me anymore. They already know the syllabus and everything that that I go off of. Which is why I try to add new things to my actual reviews to try to keep picking up on things that most people forget as I go through things and get these knocked out. But there is going to become an end point to where there's nothing else that I can throw in, and it's just wah, game over. Either way, tools, killer and survivor randomizer. Hello all. I was watching Josh Boy on Twitch and had an idea when he was asking for a random killer slash survivor. So I took some time out of my night to make a simple randomizer application that can fit nicely as a pop-up using an OBS browser scene. Brother, you're on the wrong creation tag. There's actually a tag for things like this. But why not? It seems kind of interesting. How to set up. At the moment, there is 4 versions of the randomizer. Killer's horizontal randomizer, Killer's vertical randomizer, Survivor horizontal, Survivor vertical. What the hell does that mean? Is it gonna scroll all of them horizontal and scroll all of them vertical? Or are you saying it's just a little pop-up that covers the screen and the particular resolution does, and it just literally is just a bunch of flashing squares? Or a scrolling thing that has one square open and it just stops? So what I'm saying is this directly actually reading and affecting, the screen state of the actual game? Or is it just an animation that plays that can scroll either horizontal or vertical along a specific line of killers? and then it just stops and picks. Because if that's the case, I would rather just have a wheel that I can spin that has a bunch of killer names on it. And the killers I don't like, I'll put at a lower percent, and then the killers I do play more of, I'll put slightly higher in percentages. Therefore, I can still play, the main setup and main games and get the same quality content on more days than not when I get, killers I don't necessarily want to play because I just spin low that time. All that pressure. I don't know if you heard it, but I opened up a bottle of water and the top of that shiz just shot off. That doom sound. So I think I understand how this works. And she didn't set up necessarily an actual program that scrolls Dead by Daylight. I thought it was gonna be, flushed out. It was gonna have a picture of every killer taken from Dead by Daylight. And it was gonna spin like almost a wheel, but it was gonna scroll and pick something, from RNG. But I think this is very, very low tech, and it's just a box that sits over the killer icons and essentially picks vertical or horizontal. As always, even if it's something like a tool, you definitely want to go into more detail. I mean, I'm not going to click on any of these particular links or anything like that, if they're even clickable on them. But there are YouTube videos and all of that to see what the scene looks like, etc., etc. um, eh, let's see if I can find this video instead of clicking on a particular link for it. Yeah, see, this person just uses a wheel, which makes sense. A wheel with a bunch of numbers on it. It gives you the link there, but it doesn't necessarily give you. Let's search it like that. Yeah. Oh no, it has it all. So yeah, it is what I thought it is. It's a bunch of pictures and it scrolls through the particular killers. Okay. Only problem is that isn't going to be a true RNG because that means it has a set number of patterns that it can actually do. And those of you that don't know this, I guess I should go over it that there's no such thing as true RNG. There isn't. A computer can only give you the possibilities of the things that are programmed into it. So if you set up an RNG type system and you implement it to where this particular arrow can point at, let's say, every single one of the pictures. And then you implement that in all of the pictures and all of that. I mean, you can have them interchangeable. You can have it to where you can rotate them, do whatever. The only thing the computer is going to do is play what it knows. It's going to pick one of the particular videos that you have of the arrow spinning, and then it's going to stop. That's all it's going to do is randomly pick. either this arrow video or this arrow video or this arrow video or this arrow video. Seems more, RNG, right? It has to pick one of the, 20 or so arrows that you have to pick. It's like 29 or 30 at this point, but yeah. But one of the other 20 arrows it has to pick. But for it to pick said arrows, you have to design a system in which the computer picks a particular scene to be played. And that's where the human knocks out the RNG. Because yes, you can have an RNG system, but the way the computer elects which RNG script to run breaks the RNG experience. Because if you say, hey machine, here's 20 things, pick them, the machine's going to go in a specific order, and it's going to pick said script. It's going to pick this one, or it's going to pick this one, or it's going to pick this one, but it's always going to be in a set order. Most people that do RNG, they use 3 separate orders as a base, just 3 separate orders that the machine picks from, which keeps it almost RNG. The people, unless you're the designer and can exploit it, people that run it generally can take that as RNG. But I mean, your decisions are already set. The system itself might be RNG, but the picking mechanism to where, which script you're going to run and all of that isn't. Which is how you have places like, CSGO and things like that, and some carnival games and crazy things like that that can specify odds. If I run a script and I have, 20 different scripts that the computer can pick from to give you a common item, 10 different scripts to where you can get a rare item, and then 1 script out of all of that to where you can get, the highest quality item, then in that particular order, you're already scripted on when you're going to win that particular item. And some people love to really shake things up, and they run an RNG script on the script that you can pick. Hello, Galanonim. But most people run an RNG script on that particular script on which the computer can choose to create a double RNG thing, which in turn blows out the entire percentages that they have. And if you play games and you're like, how in the hell did I get this super rare item that only has a 10% chance twice in a row? It's because they're using an RNG script to pick an RNG script. And their odds end up getting convoluted and doesn't end up making sense. Because you'll have a 0.9% chance or something like that. Because that's how many, scripts that they made for that particular item, and that's what it scales down to. But you'll get that higher level item more than the 0.9%, odd chance because of the RNG script on the RNG script. And they'll break everything. But RNG is not RNG when it comes to games. You have a set answer before you even click that button on what you're going to get. With the chapter already, but when I was fixing mistakes, I clicked my side mouse button and went back to the previous page. Oh no. Trying to do it again right now, not gonna lie, I was a little irritated when that happened. I'd be irritated too. Like I said, well, I guess you don't know, but I have set a deadline of Monday, so you ain't even gotta do it now. Take your time to when you feel like it. I would like to do everything Sunday, but Monday, is the day. I'm stalling because I'm still a little bit sick, and it gives you extra time as well. So it's kind of a win-win situation for Monday. I'm currently the killer's tier 2 ability. Gotcha. So yeah, what's that? Take your time, look over everything, make sure it's, I don't want to say pristine, but make sure it's of higher than regular quality, man. Said you got till Monday plus. I mean, you ain't even got to post it Monday. Monday's just when I'm doing critties at the latest. When everything will hook together. But soon I'll have to go for shopping, so I will see if I will manage to do it before I leave. As I said, don't push yourself. You got plenty of time. It's Saturday. You got all of Saturday. You got all of Sunday if you need it. And you can even go past Monday. You know, if it's really a banger of a concept, take your time and then release it whenever you feel like it. It will be posted today either way. I'm going to be honest, it was the most exhausting project. I don't know if the balance is right. Well, I hope it's a little bit at least, but I will see during a review. Fair enough. I'm glad you have such high faith in me. Said it's gonna be yours and Critty's that day, so pretty sure it'll be fun. Most of your concepts aren't too far off base, just like with Critty's. As he puts out more stuff, he keeps upgrading and getting better. What you do too, so I have confidence in both of you. Gritty's like a mad scientist, though. That's probably the aspect that I like about him is he experiments and sees how far he can push the game and the engine, and sometimes even me. Um, this is the content that I was gonna do today. We are trying our best, that's for sure. Thank you. I should be thanking you. Yeah, that's all you can really ask from somebody is try your best. Even if you don't succeed, as long as you tried your best, or at least, you know, put forth enough effort to make the venture worth it, you have nothing to be sad about. You've learned skills. It's all positive. Even if it's a complete failure, it still should be a positive experience. I've looked at a couple of Pemons. I always want to say Pikmins, but concepts. Part 6 is the final part of this that includes a map. Three maps, and apparently there's spoilers if he shows proper pictures. The donation and embodiment of attachment, somehow taken to the extreme. This vicious or viscous mass shows love that overwhelms everything. Huge. I'm assuming well thought out biography. I'm going to skim through. Apparently, there was an incident that happened, something about an experiment, research team, something about something being inside of a canister. Employee Marie found pink slime. They contaminated it. And I assume that that slime somehow escaped, and that's what we're talking about. Did it have a speck of human rationality? No. This is a boss picture from somewhere. I almost said Cuphead. No, this is not the boss from Cuphead. This is uh is it even a boss? I've seen. that character before, I think. At least I've seen a picture. Maybe it was a meme or something that I seen it part of. But I've seen this picture before. So Mandy Talks is gonna clap you for not having any type of credit to the pictures. Yeah, it's definitely not Cuphead. I don't know what I was thinking there. Going back to fixing mistakes. I want to do it before shopping. See you this evening, hopefully. Fair enough. Looks like from some kind of anime game enemy. Yeah, I know, right? So I said I might have seen it in a meme or something like that, but I've definitely seen something like this before. It kind of gives me Sonic vibes, to be honest with you. Oh no, this guy's stepping on thin ice. Yup. Mandy Talks is about to come in. Um, nope, that says Melting Love. You could arguably say that this is the artist's name. Arguably, if he was questioned about that. But the top one has no type of citations or anything on it. And I'm not going to click on it to find out because I don't want that saved into my history. Somebody be like, the fuck? Anyway, thanks for stopping by, giving me an update. I look forward to doing your concept. Which if you post it today, which means I'm gonna have to do it tomorrow. So there you go. Yeah, what a nice picture. But is it yours? No, Mandy, I can explain. Banned. No need to explain. Honestly, okay, gonna go now. See you later. See ya. Honestly, when it comes to Mandy, I don't know why she was in a bad mood and started clapping people for no reason. But it was very targeted in what she went after. Hopefully, she was just taking the place of another mod that came in and relieved her of her duty. Because, like, Jesus Christ, somebody had a stick up her butt. Cosmetics and weapons. I'm not going to go over any cosmetics. I'm not going to go over any Moris or anything like that. Speed is 4.2 meters per second, tear radius 16 meters. Size large on the lower end. All you have is small, medium, and large. There isn't any mixtures of that. So you need to go all in on large or all in on medium. Now, when they scale the killer, they can scale it to whatever size, but when you're given a description, you just use small, medium, and large. Now, at the start, I already see a scaling issue. You gotta keep in mind that as you scale things, they get closer together, and there's diminished returns. Just because 4.6 is 32 and 4.2 is 24 doesn't mean you're supposed to take another 8 off and reduce your tear radius the same amount by another 8. That's not how that works. You get diminished returns per scaling. If you want a 16-meter tear radius, it don't make any sense for you to be able to move 4.2 meters per second. Because it's not going to scale right. You're actually getting more efficiency than, let's say, a range killer, because their tear radius is still fairly huge. And all they've given up is a little bit of speed to compensate for it. It works fine on a 1 scale. But if you want to get down to 16 meters per second tear radius, you're going to be moving at like, you know, Either the exact same speed as survivors or the exact same speed, plus a little bit of a boost or buffer. Or the exact speed of survivors with added speed and crap like this in your stages to catch back up, or something like that. And your power should be based around getting excess speed. Because what I see when people do this and they have these super low tear radiuses, they love to double down on everything. I'm going to increase or decrease my speed by zero 0.4, but as soon as I start getting power and stuff into my killer, I'm going to increase the speed back up and end up at like 5 meters per second once I tear up my killer. Then the tear radius, oh, it's just going to go up to like 18 meters per second when I get 5 meters per second, or 18 meters when I get the 5.0 meters per second. Or they go the opposite. My killer goes up to 5 meters per second, and then the tear radius goes down to 8 meters per second. I justify it because you have to do something to make this particular killer pop. It's not how it works. Diminishing returns is the thing. If you want 16 meters tear radius, which is half of a regular killer's tear radius, your speed is going to be super negatively affected. You're going to be looking at like 3.8 meters per second, and you're going to have to incorporate ways to get your speed up through your killer because of diminishing returns. The more you crank that down, the more speed and crap you're going to lose. Unless you make it a stealth-like killer, but stealth takes trump over most of the powers. So if you have a stealthy killer, then your powers and all of that are going to have to be more simplistic. Because you're using stealth to cover the tear radius and all of that, so any type of speed increases and things like that will have to go through add-ons, almost like Ghostface. Being a Ghostface main, I wish they would change, all the speed ups and things like that he gets, but it makes sense why they're there. So he doesn't get ridiculously OP. Excuse me. Anyway, that's just something I wanted to preface all of this with. Second thing, which I haven't harped on here recently as much as I should. You have all of this information down about, this and that and another, but you don't have an overview. The most simple thing, the summary of, you're missing the description and you're missing overview. A summarized of what the killer is and the summarized of how the killer's supposed to be played. You're missing both of those. Now you have the, an embodiment of tattoos and all of this viscous mass shows love that overwhelms anything, but that's not really descriptive enough to essentially summarize all of this information and everything else for anybody going through. Sort of like the TLDRs that people make when they write huge statements. They summarize it and give you just, the base for people that don't have the time or just don't have the reading level or the skill or time or just don't want to read. All of that. Again, everything is subject to change, and as you have to adjust your particular killer, everything's going to change. Like the biography, the add-ons, the Mories, all of that will eventually change if you find any major changes to the killer. Which is why I always say wait till last to incorporate something. I mean, something might not work, and you might have to go from being a gelatinous mass to, I don't know, silicone or something like that, or a robot, or nanomachines or something to make things work. Or, you might have to change your concept because it's too close to another thing, and they want a robot killer instead of a goop killer. Killer. And all of this will change. Especially add-ons. Add-ons are always subject to change. Now this and that top one adds a little bit more to it. Very simple design, skeleton around pinkish slime outside of chase. Things like this adds a little bit more lore and things to it. And you got a couple, things here and there peppered around. But you would like to see a overview of everything together and then a killer description. All of that together. As opposed to getting tidbits here or there. Again, you're going to have to redo this. 4.2 meters per second speed for 16 meters tear radius is ridiculous. At 4.6 and 32 meters, when you are 32 meters away, survivors are alerted to you coming. Or alerted to you being on your way. 4.6, I'm just going to raise up to 5. To 30, it's going to take about 6 seconds for killer to get to you after you hear their tear radius. Range killers are giving the slightly reduced tear radius so they can get within range to actually use their weapons. Because if they had, that 32-meter range, it's going to be extremely hard for you to get any type of effect. You're going to be spending most of your time running, trying to get within range to use your weapon, instead of actually, being there close enough to use your weapon. So they have a reduction in speed, because, well, most range killers also have a reduction of speed while they're using their power. Play can go shove it. But there's a reason why it's balanced like that. At 24 meters per second, or meters per second, and a 24 meter tear radius at 4.4 meters per second, it's going to take them around about 6 seconds. And they're generally not going to go all the way to you unless you're working on a gen and they have to force you off. They're going to use a ranged attack way before that. So you have the 6 seconds if they run up to you and mouse one you, or they can zone you and then try to take a shot or throw a hatchet or use any type of, well, I think Huntress actually stays 4.6 actually. But any other, range killer that has an actual weapon have to aim, which gives them the slowdown and gives the survivor, ways to get away from them. And then they have to shoot. So you're going to want to be within a specific range. And if a survivor runs away as soon as the terrator procs, generally it'll be around like 18 or so meters before the ranged killer will become, hyper effective and decide to either get closer and try to initiate chase or whatever else if a survivor immediately dips. If not, it's standard game. The point I'm making is you're looking at still around 6 seconds to get up to that particular survivor, even if you're a ranged killer. Plus, with all of that, the aiming and the slowdown and all of that gives you diminished returns. Here, at 4.2 meters per second, and I'll even do you a solid and round it down, it's going to take you 4 seconds. As soon as that survivor hears that tear radius, you're going to be on them within 4 seconds. So as soon as they hear that, doo-doo, By that time, you were making progress towards them. They have to end animation, pick a way to go or hide or do or anything like that. You got 4 seconds. Generally, it takes a second to react to the tear radius coming in and to let go, and to either walk away to try to hop out or run. To get out of the area that you're in is going to take a second to a second and a half to 2 seconds to just escape the box that you're in. When you escape, the killer's only about 2 seconds away from you, and they can zone you pretty efficiently. This is why we need diminished returns, and why we need to reduce the speed. If we go off of like a 6 or so second basis, rounded of course, in order to get to around 16 meters, you're going to have to reduce your speed significantly. Let's say 16 divided by 5 is 3. That would give you 5 point something. Now, survivors do have a base speed, so you can't really decrease yourself down to 3 meters per second because getting within the 16 meters is going to be a problem, and there's going to be a base of game. But knowing that the low end of that particular math in seconds is about 3 meters per second, you should definitely decrease your speed to somewhere 3 point something. 3.8, 3.9. What I'm essentially saying is 16-meter tear radius, you should be moving at survivor speed, maybe slightly, like little bit faster, like very, very little bit faster, like 4.05, just so they're not going to continue to dust you. You can still get a little bit of a lead. But not by much. Like 4.05 or something crazy like that. Possibly even go down to 4.1. 4.1 would be acceptable if we're talking about scaling with diminished returns. From 4.6 to 4.4, from 4.4 to 4.1. So it's an arguable. I would keep it max speed 4.1. And I would keep it at 4.1 if you don't have any type of speed increase in your base killer. If you don't have speed increase in base killer, 4.1 is perfect for the diminished returns and all of that. It would take you still around 4 seconds to get that particular 16 meters. However, if a survivor reacts quick enough, they'll be able to get a couple of seconds away from you, ending up to about, 5-ish to 6 meters per second in the end, if they react immediately. And that's if you have no other skill. Because, if the survivor starts actively running away from you, you're only gaining 0.1 meter per second on them. So it's going to take a little bit for you to catch them. Makes sense. It takes 4. They can get up to about 6 seconds of reaction time if they move immediately. So you can scale it on the back end like that at 4.1. If your killer has built-in speed options to them, then you're going to want to drop that down to 3.8. Because obviously, your killer's going to build speed up over time as they get whatever effects added to them. So you don't need to be faster than survivors if you have decent activations and things like that, and you should balance your killer around getting that speed back while making it unique, as opposed to getting a very, very small decrease in speed for a huge increase of tear radius. That's a 50% reduction in tear radius for 10% reduction in speed. I don't think that's a good scale. 1 to 5. Actually, it's less than 10, but we're rounding, so whatever. Let's get into this power. So, I mean, rework your speed stats and tear radius stats. You either need to bump that tear radius back up to around about like 20 meters, 20, 22 meters, maybe even 21. I'm not doing the math on tear radius and diminished returns on that. I just did it on speed. Take that math, apply it to there, and you'll get the answer. It's going to be somewhere around 20 meters per second is what it's going to end up being towards the end of this. I can tell you that much. So you can adjust tear radius up or speed down and get the same balance. Power, adoration, or main ability. At the start of a trial, all survivors are granted a gift and start with the killer specific effect. Adoration stage 1. Have I went over this before? Is this the one where you get that exception status effect that you get from that one chick that I did in the past? Okay. When a survivor is killed by any means, the gift granted to that survivor mutates into a slimoid enemy. Let me see something. Okay, it does go over adoration afterwards. So the problem that you're gonna have bringing in something that has tier stages and things like that is you're gonna have a hell of a time trying to write out clearly and explain everything as things go on. So as I read this, I'm just gonna go over, things stage by stage, and then as we get to the adoration, I'll go over the implementations of that into that. So as I go over this main ability, I should be wrong about what I say 90% of this. Because when we get to the special status adoration, it should supplement the first status. And if it proves me wrong, good. That means that it's for the most part, better balanced. If it doesn't prove me wrong and statements that I'm making end up being true, then you have openings. And that's how I'm going to run this. So at the start of the trial, all survivors are granted a gift. I want to know, can they get rid of the gift? Because if they can't get rid of the gift, then you might as well just start them with some sort of status effect that they gain when they're hit with a basic attack or whatever the hell kind of attacks your particular killer does. When you're hit by one of their attacks, they get infected, and when they die, a slimoid pops out of them, or they turn into a slimoid, essentially. So their soul can still go to the entity, but, well, I guess it's not their soul. Their whatever still gets sacrificed. The entity gets, the fear and anguish and torture and everything else. It goes up to the entity defeated. And we'll say that's what that is. And then the vessel remains and turns into a slimoid. Because gift, anything that's given as a gift can be declined and gotten rid of. So if you're going to use the word gift, can you get rid of the gift? Or is that just fancy wording to say that you're going to be afflicted with something and as soon as you go down, boom. That's what we're going to be looking for there. And start with killer specific effect, adoration stage 1. I do not like anything that starts survivors with any type of ability or effect stage 1. Because that immediately says, you have no buffer. You are in, with this. Like, for example, Nemesis. When he hits you with this tentacle attack, or a zombie hits you for the first time and you get affected with the virus, that gets you to, your infected stage or your stage 1 on activation. It does essentially nothing to you except, make you make noises and cough and things like that. But it does nothing to your health states or anything like that at stage 1 in its activation on you. The second time you're hit, you take damage from it. That's a good activation stage. Survivors remain clean and have a way to get clean if they are get infected, all wrapped up into one nice bundle. However, if survivors were started off in stage 1, aka affected with the virus, even if the virus, didn't make you throw up or do anything like that, as soon as you got hit by a zombie or a nemesis tentacle, you would take damage. And that drops you right into a situation or an equation that you unfairly have, because, you never got hit by said zombie or nemesis, so why would you have this effect? An adoration effect, thinking about slime enemies and things like that, you would assume that, as the slime, gets into your body, it starts messing with your mind and forces you to, have that adoration. So, I don't agree with anything starting out at stage 1 at all. It should be base survivor when they get into the game. If they wanted anything put on them, they would run no mither and they would just start off injured. That's a decision that a survivor can make. You can't just when you join the trial, you join fucked up. Like, no, it's not good. So take this starting at stage 1 effect off. I don't care if stage 1 is very low or does nothing at all. It does not matter. Stage 1 doesn't need to be applied. Survivors deserve a buff or two before they start getting, affected with things. When a survivor is killed, the gift granted to the survivor mutes into a slimoid enemy. This gift, unless you're running a specific add-on that makes this gift come to life out of a survivor's pocket or something, again, I don't agree with the gift, but I mean the mutation. You can make it that when you hit a survivor as they're running off or wherever they're standing, a slimoid appears with like an iridescent add-on or something like that. Same method. Handing something to a survivor in the forms of a gift, which the gift could be the mutation effect that I'm talking about, just, fancily named. I'd like to see what this gift is being defined, and if it is a gift, something that you have or the survivor has, a way to get rid of it. So if you do find out that you're going to die, you can just get rid of the extra enemy that's going to spawn in. When any survivor, ooh, you're stepping on thin ice when you say when any survivor. When any survivor becomes inflicted with adoration stage 3, your terror radius increases to 24 meters for the remainder of the trial. Why hard nerf yourself? There's no point to keep increasing terror radius unless you're going to in turn increase speed back up. But if you do increase speed back up, then what's the point of decreasing your speed? Because as of now, it's all affected on however your stages goes in affecting survivors. So it's kind of redundant having a low terror radius, hitting a survivor, and then getting everything back up to 24 meters, and 28 meters, and then 32 meters. It's redundant. Why not just stay regular kill speed, regular tear radius? You can walk around just like any other killer and slap, infect, do whatever you need to do, whatever this power ends up being. Which it never states, by the way, how they get the adoration effect. So, I mean, for it to say main ability, adoration, you would figure the actual adoration ability, what it does, things like that would be here. And then all of this excess crap would be under the special status adoration. You know? Main ability, adoration, how to inflict it, how to use it, etc. The nitty gritty. More summarized information. Underneath, all of the tier effects and things like that. This crap here, that crap there. Then underneath that, I have sort of like a more detailed information and like an extra section. You know, the super serious stuff that doesn't need to be said at the beginning. But, you know, the bonus stuff that, you know, that people would generally ask, you know, like a fact quest or a fact form that has questions that could be asked and extra information underneath it. It would make this look a lot more flushed out, and it wouldn't look like just a conglomeration of just things. And when you come to tier systems and things like this, people don't want to have to read the same thing multiple times. If I look at stage 1, I shouldn't have to go, okay, stage 1. Scroll down here, see what stage 1 is. Then if I still don't get the answer I'm looking at, scroll down and keep going from thing to thing to thing to thing. You want to make it, I don't know about this, you want to make it uniform to where when you read something straight down from top to bottom, you never have to go back up to the top to get references for things that are on the bottom. As people go through things, they should understand what adoration is, and then the tier systems and things that come after it should all go in, you know, a sequential order. I have to look at stage 1 and then go down to the special effect to see what stage 1 does, and then go back up and, you know, compare it. Then go to stage 2 and go down and go back up, and 3 go down and back up, and do things like that. It's not too good because I'm spending most of my time scrolling and trying to remember everything instead of intaking and ingraining the information given to me. um, Again, there's no point in nerfing your speed, which needs to be nerfed more, by the way, and then increasing your speed back up and possibly even beyond. I didn't go that far. Or not speed, tear radius, farther or beyond. I didn't go that far. To try to make a concept work when you can take out most of this stuff that you're flooding us with right now just by making it base killer 4.6 32 meters. Take out all of this extra crap, and this could probably be reduced probably to half, if not more than half. I ain't even finished it. Sink that down, put all of that extra crap down here, have it very sequential, make it very, you know, easy to understand, easy to read, while having all the details necessary. Put a fact at the bottom, explain any additional information. Can even put a change log underneath that too, if anything you want to change is, you know, major and you don't want to mess up the original concept. You can add a change log to the bottom of the fact. Now, any survivor gets afflicted with adoration stage 3, which I don't know anything about, by the way. I just know that it's a stage, and we're already talking about stage 3. I don't know if it's a channel ability, stalking ability, hit ability, or some other unique ability. I have no idea. I can't give you an honest review saying that, you know, if any survivor gets afflicted with stage 3, tear radius goes up to 24 meters, because I don't know how readily available or easy it is. You know, if survivors, let's say, way off the wall and say survivors are inflicted with adoration as they do generators, and that's the whole thing. Just pulled that out of my ass, by the way. One survivor doing all of the generators for the match and all of that's going to raise your tear radius exponentially, as opposed to everybody else just jumping on and doing gens, you know? I could review that one way. But if it's, on hit, everybody goes up a tier level, then, as long as you're not tunneling a particular survivor for too much, you'll be stuck at, actually, if you do tunnel a particular survivor out, you either have the option of hardcore tunneling, because if it's per hit, you'll want to tunnel them down and get as less hits as possible to hook them and get them out of the way. Or you're going to want to knock them down, hook them, and then go for another survivor immediately to spread the love. So when you do tier up, you have a lot of hooks. And the increased tear radius isn't going to destroy you. But here we are. Already down to stage 3, the entire radius being increased to 24 meters. I don't even know what stage 1 does. It doesn't even mention anything about stage 2 here. And we're already at stage 3. And all I know is stage 3 increases tear radius. That's all the information I know. When any survivor becomes inflicted with adoration stage 4, your tear radius increases to 28 meters. And your movement speed increases to 4.4 meters per second. That's not how that works. You can't just have this super buff at the beginning and then balance it back to the game standards when your super buff wears off. Not how that works. Remember what I said about diminishing returns? That's why that's a thing. Again, it don't make sense to start all the way down there and then have your speed and tear radius become the same as a regular killer's. It don't make sense to drop that down there and then give you the speed back. It's a waste of time, it's a waste of effort, and it's very redundant. You start off buff speed, very low tear radius. Then when a survivor hits tier 4, you're just range killer speed, range killer tear radius. And I assume you're going to go back to regular tear radius and regular speed based off of that. What's the point? What's the point? Keep the speed that you have, and then that you keep base killer speed that nobody's going to complain about, unless you have a ranged attack or something like that. But keep the base speed that the game already, has been balanced around and work with that instead of trying to incorporate this long, convoluted system that's redundant at the end. Yes, play my killer. I start off real strong, but as soon as you get to tier 3, you're just a regular ass killer. Gotcha. Anyway, 28 meters, movement speed increases to 4.4 meters for the remainder of the trial. You keep saying for the remainder of the trial, but it's not for the remainder of the trial. Stop using the words for the remainder of the trial. Remainder of the trial means you are stuck there, solid. The bar don't move anymore. You can't go from 24 meters tear radius to the remainder of the trial to 28 meters tear radius for the remainder of the trial. Not how that works. Speed increases to 4.4. Again, you're just a regular killer. And again, for the remainder of the trial. That's not true. Stop using it. Slime puddles left behind by Sticky Body. What the hell is Sticky Body? Is that the name of the killer? Because I don't remember seeing anything saying Sticky Body. I thought it was the experiment or the something, the embodiment. No, the donation. So what the hell is sticky body? Like I said, I know you have a slime creature, but how am I supposed to know if it's, a survivor sticky body, the sticky body of your killer? I don't know. It just says slime puddles left behind by sticky body. You need to explain this. You haven't given me any information to go on with this adoration effect, what it does or anything like that, yet you're throwing out new terms to me that I don't know about. You see where the issue comes and why I'm always repeating myself saying, give me more information or use the tools of the forum to your advantage or anything like that. Because people put a whole bunch of bullcrap down, but they have the answers in their brain. They have the complete book and guide. I don't. If you step away from it and just read one portion of your particular main ability that you have here, and you don't know what's going on, you haven't explained adorations and what they do, you haven't explained what sticky body or any of that means in that one paragraph there without looking anywhere farther, then you have a problem. And I find a lot of concepts don't know how to lay out the basis of a concept. I mean, it should be sort of like a book almost, except for, not following a book. Obviously, the book at the beginning has a whole bunch of other things that, a concept's not going to have, but a concept and a book are very close, but not exactly the same. There are things different. And if you're going to put time into a concept, if you have to look up, how to make a proper concept and things like that, just online or scientific study or, concept or math concept or different types of concepts to find the particular style that you want to stay with, then do it. If you're going to put, hours and hours into your work, why not go all the way and make sure it's, as perfect as you can get it? But some sort of slime puddles left behind by some sort of sticky body appear 50% less frequency. I have no idea what that means because you ain't told me. And guess what? In the future, when I find out all of this, I'm going to have to scroll all the way back up, find this particular part, and I'm going to have to review everything that's down there to everything that's up there. And this concept is fairly long, so I might actually have to open up another window. I wish I had dual monitors, but I might have to open up another window and compare them, or open this one up on my phone and look at two different screens. And I shouldn't have to do that if your concept's in correct order and portrayed properly. Hoping I don't have to. So slime puddles and sticky body, whenever I figure out what that is, as same as adoration, I have to come back in and do all of this. Something about them appearing 50% less frequently. The number of windows able to be blocked by sticky body is reduced to 1. I have a little bit of context. Apparently, sticky body allows a window to be blocked, and it apparently has more than one charge, but that still just makes the question mark bigger because I have no idea. And if, guess what? And if I go through this review and I somehow forget about this particular part that I'm stating now, and I never come back and review that particular thing about sticky body, most people would assume that it's just fine. Oh, well, he didn't go over it, so it must be just fine. I'm going to go around with it and keep it. Like, no. It's a very big issue having it put right there with no type of explanation. But if I forget to go back and review it, you as a creator should still look over your project again and see that that's just a left ball out of nowhere, or a curveball out of nowhere. When any survivor becomes afflicted with adoration stage 5, your terror radius increases to 32 meters for the remainder of the trial. Now that would make sense if you can't go any higher than 32 meters. However, if you're going to scale lower, like significantly lower, tear radius wise, in the beginning of the match, your stage 5 should be increased above regular tear radius. Again, you shouldn't scale everything off of base game because your initial scaling isn't off base game. So you have to do your own particular scaling in this particular method, or again, it's redundant and pointless to ever change the tear radius and the speed that you have going on here. Also, give me one moment. I'm actually going to change the title of the particular stream. I also need to get some water. My voice is starting to uh 1:15:22. Back to the basics DBD creation review. I'm actually going to recognize effort where effort is due. And by saying that, I mean I'm going to give this particular person their own stream or video, title and all of that. Just because I do recognize the work that they are putting into their concept, and I'm going to take a moment to say it. This concept's a very good concept. It's just the way that it's explained is way out of the main passage, that everybody else is going to take. You have the answers to the maze, so you know exactly where to go. But anybody in the maze doesn't have enough information to get out of the maze. So you're leaving everybody kind of in limbo here. Most of the questions I'm asking, hopefully will be answered, and that's the way I'm running this now, to see if I can get my questions that I'm asking answered. Generally, if I was a more hardcore streamer and gave 110% effort, I would have a notepad open, attached to the screen, and another window capture, and things that which in the future I will do, in the future. Have a notepad open, and anything that I ask for clarifications and things on, I would write in the notepad, and like a checklist with like a checkable button. And then as the questions are answered, I'd check off the individual boxes, and when we get to the end, I'd look back at the checklist and say, everything was good. Do another, look over with the checklist to see if the particular questions were answered, but I didn't get it. Were they thoroughly answered? First checkbox, sort of answered, middle checkbox, or never mentioned, and the third checkbox. And then the things that are left over, you could have a visual aid, excuse me, saying that, hey, these things need to be included or worked on. If I ever get more subscribers and I kick off, then yeah, I'll update myself and what I use and what I do to keep pushing out higher tier content, higher tier content, higher tier content, etc., etc. As of now, still growing, still enjoying what I'm doing, things like that. My memory's not that terrible. And one of the reasons why I haven't incorporated in that list is about 30% because I'm lazy. But there's about a 60% thought of, well, if I have a checklist that shows everything, the only thing people are going to do is skip through the video. and look at the checklist. They're going to skip to the end when I'm going over the checklist. They're going to see what needs to be added into the particular concept, and they're going to be out. So instead of getting the full shebang and actually having to go through and listen, even though I harp over the same things multiple times, and learn something, they're going to look at the checklist, say thank you, and they're going to head out their way. What's the point? You know? When I've got a decent amount of subscribers and monetization and everything else, to where, I can at least get rewarded in some part for my efforts that I'm putting out, it isn't going to matter as much. But now I'm doing this for, fun. If I go over something and somebody comes in and they're not listening or, going over the material information in front of them, it's just like waste of time. Another reason why I'm thankful to the people that stop by. All right, creations, feedback, all of that information. Main channel is actually mostly Rocket League. And I think this is set. If I just go here and shit, I didn't think that was the thank you. Undo changes button. No, I undid every change though, you son of a bitch. Why would it undo every... Bro. Donation. 15, 22. It didn't take long to do this because I've done this a lot, but it's just a pain in the ass, I know how you feel, Galanonim. That's all I gotta say. I just went through everything and got everything that I did reset. It wasn't devastating like yours was, but I understand about 100th of how you felt and the annoyingness of that to happen. Mine was easy to fix though. Playlist, sure. It's rare that I add anything to actual creations review because I don't remember to. And I don't really want to go back and put the 60 or so videos that I've done into into a playlist, because that is just me being lazy, a little bit of mental health, but that's just me being lazy. Done. My voice is trying to give out. I ain't letting it. I found out that if my voice starts to, get hoarse and start getting out of tune, if I just change the octave of which I speak, some people notice it, some people don't. And they're like, you're getting sick, your voice is changing. I'm like, no, not necessarily, If my voice just cracks and goes out to the ether, I'll change the octave of my voice and I'll speak deeper or I'll speak lighter or something like that to try to get it back in whack. That sounded bad, phrasing. Where did I leave off at? Yes. Stage 5. When any survivor becomes inflicted with adoration stage 5, your movement speed increases to 4.6 as long as that survivor remains inflicted. Slime puddles left behind by sticky body no longer appear. So at the end of this, if they get to stage 5, your tear radius is increased to 32 meters, but if they lose that particular stage 5 and nobody else has stage 5, you lose that speed boost and you're essentially stuck with 4.4 meters per second in a 32 meter tear radius till you get somebody else up to stage 5. So not only is it redundant, it has a negative at the end of it as well. Again, why do all of this? If you got rid of almost all of that information, took the sticky body, took it down, and implemented it in the correct spot, and kept everything regular killer speed, all of this could have been gotten rid of. And then if you would have just supplemented all of that with a actual main ability, press whatever power button for whatever amount of seconds, or do whatever it is to activate this adoration effect. Survivors with adoration suffer from whatever. And just give, the basis of the power here. I'm not saying draw it all out and do all the stages, which you've done here, obviously, but just give the general summary of like every other power Dead by Daylight does. Stick to that syllabus and do it like that. Take the more relevant information from this, like the sticky body and things like that, move that down, and get rid of all of this tear radius and speed increase and decreases. Because you're not scaling any higher than regular speed. Get rid of it. And boom. Things are fixed. If you ain't wanting to get rid of it, you're going to have to rescale your speeds and tear radius to make them unique and not just the same as the game. It's redundant. Nobody wants to run a killer who they start off powerful at the beginning, but as soon as they affect somebody with a status effect, well, I guess stage 3 affects somebody with the status effect, you're just a regular range killer. It just ain't savvy. And the fact that you actually scaled the tear radius and versus the speed up, because this one's 4.2 meters per second, right? Yeah, 4.2 meters per second. And you scaled that up for 4.2 to 24. So something tells me you actually did the diminishing returns and all of that. And that's what it should be from the base. It should be 4.2 meters per second, and it should be 24 meters of tear radius. Somewhere between 22 and 24. But I think you nailed it pretty close. And that's what it should be starting out with. The 24 meters tear radius, 4.2 meters per second. And I think you might have gotten extremely close. Either somewhere between like 22 and 24. If you really wanted to push, you could go for 20 if you make a unique system and change the scaling and everything else to your own unique system. You might be able to arguably get down to 20. But anywhere from 20 to 24. So you actually did the reverse tear radius scaling, but when you tried to incorporate it all, you just went back to normal. Enough harping on this. Let's get in and figure out what adoration actually does. And I'm hoping that you repeat this down here, because it's going to be a pain. Going from here to there, to here, to there, to here, to there, to here, to there. and then going down and scrolling back up, and then going down for like sticky body and scrolling back up. How much time are we at? About halfway through the stream. I got an hour and a half. I don't need to rush this any. I mean, I'm not going to rush it, but it's nice to know it. I don't have to. Main ability, or special status, adoration. The adoration effect is the result of the donation granting a gift to the survivors. What gift are we talking about? And how did they get this gift? Again, if you're talking about gifts and things like that, gifts are given. They don't just have it at the beginning. Make an add-on to make them start out in tier 1 if you want to go that path. Don't make it like a shitty ass brown add-on. Obviously, it's going to need to be a little bit higher, like green. Why green and not yellow or anything like that? Because generally, when somebody wants to add a status effect in, they're going to go green, then they're going to go to the next one, which is going to be purple, and be like, oh, well, you start stage 2. And then they're going to do an iridescent one or something like that and try to boost things. Make it like green or higher. And then make them start out in stage 1. Alright. All effects stay upon tearing up. That's not true. As I went over earlier, you say all of this until the end of the trial, but that's not true. All effects do not stay upon tearing up. Some effects do, so I'm assuming the sticky body and all of that other stuff that you have scaling up stays. But this is a whole statement, ain't true. And if you get rid of most of this, you can literally just say the sticky bodies and all of that stays the same. But I mean, all of this would be dragged down farther down here as an explanation. So you wouldn't even have to actually say anything about this particular effect, because all of this would be added into this. When tearing down, effects fade in order in 1 second intervals. That's interesting. But I mean, I guess it makes sense. So the only bad thing that can come of this is, well, no. Because if you're at 28 meters and movement speed goes to 4.4, and then they get the 5, when they go back to 4, the tear radius will go back down to 28 and 4.4. Then what's the point of going through and saying all of that and making it seem like, you know, if somebody goes back down in adoration stage 5 and changing up the logic here? 32 meters for the remainder of the trial. Remainder of the trial again means once that bar is set, it's set. Seeing 32 meters the remainder of the trial and then things go back down, and let's say you get all the way down to stage 1 where you're a slow boy again, you'll have 4.2 meters per second and 32 meters. But then you kind of chicken out and say tearing down effects fade in order in 1 second intervals. So as you tear down, it's not going to remain the remainder of the trial. So you nowhere here do you need to place the words for the remainder of the trial, because that's not true in any aspects of anything. Because you literally just double down and try to cover your own butt by saying tearing down effects fade in order in 1 second intervals. So you do scale all the way back down. All effects stay upon tearing up. When tearing down, effects fade in order of 1 second intervals. So yeah, go through and delete anything that says for the remainder of the trial, or you need to go back in and edit this statement to make it actually correct. Stage 1, nothing happened. Applies to the start of the trial and never goes below this point. Makes no absolute sense. This is a stage 1. Stage 1 should do something. If you're not going to have a stage 1, get rid of it. You don't have to go up to 5 stages. You don't have to be that Michael Myers or Devourer of Hope or any of that. You don't have to always have 5 stages. Make it 4 stages. You don't have to copy the game point for point. There's 5 generators. There's X amount of time. 4 stages is probably easier to get than 5 stages. Don't start people off at stage 1 and force them to, get rid of this buffer that they would have. Because, oh, well, you joined the map. You're infected. Don't do that. Give them this buffer, which I don't even know how adoration works, by the way. It still ain't said it. It's telling me about the status effect, but it's not telling me how. We've already gotten to the nitty gritty of it. You still ain't told me how people get adoration. If this is the same as the concept I did in the past, was it a slime girl? I thought it was like an ex-girlfriend or something. It was like, no, it was uh, wasn't it like a crazy chick from an anime? That's what it was. I remember now. If it's like that one, it was made off of you get adoration from it was jealousy because there was a lover's fury. It had lover's fury that you activated from cooperative actions, and you were punished for them. Because this is what this sounds like is just another one of these, which might have been made by the same creator and all of that. If so, this is just an update of that. The lover's rage and all of that other stuff. But yeah, don't get rid of a survivor buffer. If your power is OP, just make stage 1 be a buffer. When they get hit, make it like Nemesis's virus. It does nothing. They just get infected by the status effect. Or completely take this out and have them go from regular to stage 1 being this. Progresses to stage 2 by working on generators outside the killer's terror radius for a total of 20 seconds. While in the killer terror radius, gain is reduced 50%. So yes, this is the exact same killer concept as I've reviewed in the past, brought back up, and then changed ever so slightly. So I guess the entirety of the concept is to have different killers spun, or the same killer spun in different ways. Kind of the entire purpose of this little chapter concept, like book that he made. So, I mean, it is kind of par for the course. Again, like the other ones that I went over, you cannot punish a survivor for doing their job. You're forcing a survivor to potentially screw themselves over by doing generators. I was just pulling the concept out of my ass, and I was half joking earlier when I said something about, doing generators increases adoration and things like that. I was joking about it. I didn't actually expect this to actually happen. I'm glad I didn't harp about it like I was going to. Like, oh my God. The fact that you actually get adoration through doing Jin, something that you have to do, is just disgusting. And 20 seconds worth of Jin time? Jesus Christ. If it tears up every 20 seconds, you're going to be at tier 4 by your first generator being completed. Not a good thing. And then being inside of the tear radius reduces gain by 50%. Yeah, but you're not going to be doing generators inside of a killer's tear radius for that long unless they're chasing somebody around you, which is really risky to try and stick a generator unless it's for the most part done. So, already before we go into this, change the activation of adoration. Plus, it's not really sticking to the initial concept of literally adoration. So, how are you adoring something when you're working on generators? You know what I'm saying? Stick to your concept idea. Anyway, progress the stage you by working on a generator outside the killer tear radius for 20 seconds. If you're inside the killer tear radius, it's going to take 40 seconds. Half a generator for one stage. At stage 2, vaulting speed is increased by 5%, survivor sounds increased by 50%. Is this survivor both? Is this killer wise? You need to specify. You specify it saying survivor sounds increased by 50%. You need to specify whose vaulting speeds increased. Because if it's the killer vaulting speed increased by 5% and survivors making more sound, that's bullshit. But if you want to hit them with the 50% increase in sound, but allowing them to vault faster, which I would do more than 5%, but I mean, this is just a start, then it makes sense. They're louder, but they're also quicker. The slime or whatever the hell's on them makes them vault faster. They fly through. That makes sense. But you need to specify. If it's killer in the top, survivor in the bottom, it's bullshit and needs to be rebalanced. If it's both for survivor, then you have an arguable case, but it is still going to need to be tweaked. Progress to stage 3 by interacting with an object outside the killer terror radius for a total of 25 seconds. For you, using the terminology you use for a total of 25 seconds, that means from the start on one gen, if you work on it for 25 seconds, you're going to get to phase 2. You didn't say an additional 25 seconds. You said total. All of these numbers you're giving me is a total. I'm going to cheat a little bit. 30 seconds for stage 3. Okay. So, at 30-second mark, I don't see anything else that says anything about seconds. So at the 30-second mark on a generator, you are going to have 3 survivors at stage 3, unless you elect to let all 4 survivors work on a generator for 30 seconds. At 30 seconds of the match, you're going to have 3 survivors at stage 3. So, scrolling back up to not that far. Here. Every survivor so your tear radius is going to be 24 meters. And there is no point in you actually having this lower tear radius of 16 meters and speed of 4.2 meters. The first 30 seconds of the game, that only lasts for the first chase. The first survivor that you come across is the only part of that's going to come into effect. After that, 30 seconds later, you're going to have multiple survivors at stage 3. And this is where everything is going to start. And this is where my review should have began instead of at stage 1, 2, or any of that crap. So what you actually have is a 3-stage power. You have stage 1 being stage 3, stage 2 being stage 4, and stage 3 being stage 5. You do not need 5 stages, you need 3 stages. Because you are forcing a stage 3 the first 30 seconds of the game. And this is where the balancing and cutting the fat comes into play. The effects and all of this crap are fine, but you don't need the stages. So your particular killer, by base, at the start of the game, is going to have a volt speed increase. Survivor sounds are going to have an increase at the start of the game. So this obviously needs to be hardcore tweaked. Then they're going to have everything that's part of stage 3, which I'll go over in a minute. This is what I want to know towards the beginning so I can change the way I'm reviewing everything. Because now stage 1 and stage 2 needs to get crumpled up and tossed behind you. Because at the start, you're already getting there. Make stage 1 and stage 2 passives or something like that the best you can. And then this needs to be incorporated into stage 3 and hardcore tweak down. So now, I'm going to re-review this. And we need to go over what 3, 4, and 5 do from the start. So at stage 3, tear radius is 24 meters. So this particular killer, I keep scrolling up too far. Starting tear radius should be 24 meters, not 16. 24 meters at 4.2 meters per second is where this needs to be set at. Nothing more, nothing less. Your concepts already dictated it, and that's what it's going to be set to. That's it. 24 meters tear radius, 4.2 meters per second. That's it. It's done. Stage 1, 2, and 3 needs to get yeeted out of here. Again, at stage 3, which the survivors are going to have one of them's going to have the first 30 seconds of the game, you're stuck at 24 meters. So, there you go. That gets rid of all of that. So now the only things I need to look at is 4 and 5. Well, 3, 4, and 5. 3 just increases tear radius. So, I mean, you're going to, your stage 3 here isn't going to do anything on this side of it. But stage 3 here does do a lot of things. When I get to that stage 3, we'll talk about it, because stage 3 is now going to be stage 1, and you need to adjust accordingly and shuffle everything else around. This side, stage 3, does absolutely nothing. which is your new stage one. So now you're back to the beginning. Stage one does nothing. In this edited version, stage one does nothing. And usually I would say suggestion wise, and this is my suggestion. No, I'm not suggesting this. This is hardcore mechanics of the game we're talking about. Not in suggestion, that's not any hardcore math needing to put through or anything like that. Based off of your own words. This needs to happen. Not I want this to happen or here's a suggestion to happen. This needs to happen. You either need to rework everything or you need to make this change to 24 meters. Not suggestion. I'm not asking you in this particular part. I am telling you, you need to make this change. Completely different from where I'm coming from. Stage 4 and all of this going to 28 meters and 4.4 meters again makes it even more redundant because you're gaining what, 2? Now you're gaining 4 meters per second and another 0.2 speed. Now we're on the lines of all of these effects down here essentially copying Michael Myers. You start off kind of hard nerf, tier 1 with the reduced speed. Tier 2, you get a little bit more of a tear effect speed and the tear radius comes out more. In tier 3, you're at base speed, base tear radius, things like that. So again, this whole beginning part is another reason for that to just be crumbled up and thrown into the trash. Or if you want to stay unique, you need to redo all of this and make it unique. So you have the options of making this unique or scrapping it and using base killer speed. And this is based off what I'm saying now. I haven't even gone over the crux of it. I don't even know if there's any more speed or anything else increases incorporated into your particular killer. But this is just as of this point and what I went over thus far, which ain't much. Now, if we clap stage 1 and 2, stage 3 will now be the stage 1, which is based off of, what was it, 30 seconds of working on a generator now, is what we're at? Yes. So the first 30 seconds of the game, this is what this killer is going to have. Vaulting speed for either killer or survivor, whichever one it's specified. 5% to a survivor. Vaulting speed, sure. The sound increase, you're going to want to knock this down ever so slightly, like 30% or something like that. Maybe even, actually, probably even 25%. A fifth definitely sounds more like it. 20-25%. If you think about it, there's 4 survivors. 5 times 4 is 20, plus the killer gets another precedence of an extra 5%. So making it about, 25-30% around that area would make more sense. Survivor sounds is very weak when it comes to anybody wearing headphones and doesn't necessarily matter. Also, going off of survivor sounds, you need to pick whether or not it's going to be injuries and grunts of pain or basic actions, like running around and breathing and things like that. You can't target both, and if you are going to try to toggle or target both, you need to significantly nerf this even more from like 20% down to like 10 to 15%. Running sounds you can hear very clearly with headphones on, and you don't need to increase that much more to hear those. You're playing on a TV, I mean, it is what it is. You're getting bass sounds and things like that. It is what it is. Vaulting speed, if that's on Survivor, that's pretty cool. If that's going on Killer, and this is going on Survivors, obviously you're going to have to nerf this even more because you have now another base of vault speed on that. So this is going to have to be incorporated somewhere farther along down the line or part of stage 2 if stage 2 isn't crazy. Let's see. Stage 3, which is the new stage 1, recovery speed from negative status effects is increased by 5%. That really doesn't make much of a difference. It's like 5% of 60 is like extremely, extremely low. It's like what, like 3 seconds or something like that. So anything that has a 60-second cooldown, you're adding 3 seconds to. Very weak. Good for a stage 1 though. Super weak. Survivor sounds increased by 100%. Absolutely not. Get that out of there. Bring this in that you have here. Nerfed. Drag that in right there. Bam. All skill checks happen twice in quick succession. That on stage 1, I can't really agree with because of, like Huntress's Lullaby and what is it, Unnerving Presence and everything like that. The Doctor's skill check, anything that's skill check related is going to be fairly quick. I mean, the Huntress's Lullaby really only affects the first button press, and you'll get away with this particular concept the first couple of times the first time it happens to people running up against your killer. After that, it's going to be hard countered. But I would definitely probably move this down to stage 4 or stage 2, and then it would be for the most part fine. Possibly, depending on what the next stage has. Slot this in, the sounds after it's been nerfed, into this stage 3, which would be stage 1. Add the vault speed in as well, if you like, into that. That's a very good stage 3 or stage 1. Skill checks happen twice. I would move that down to stage 4. Progresses to stage 4 by interacting with any object outside the killer's tear radius. Oh, it's any object. For a total of 30 seconds. Now, I would make the 30 seconds stage 3. Because if the 30 seconds are getting stage 4, holy hell. I don't agree with gens being the thing, but 30 seconds worth of activation on something else. Good work. Whether it's stalking or, being within the killer's tear radius for 30 seconds or something crazy. Well, it'd probably have to be more if it's in the tear radius, but stalking or something like that would make a lot of sense. Now, obviously, regular stalking, you would have to, reduce this timer because 30 seconds to get a lackluster effect, people aren't going to enjoy that. So you will have to play with this 30-second timer to balance into whatever effect you have. Being within the killer's tear radius for 30 seconds, I mean, that's the equivalent of a chase. Unless you're a very good, pursuer. So unless stage 4 is something crazy, hard to get, you might want to increase that to like 45 seconds or, well, increase this beyond 30 seconds. And as you add in more triggers and see how everything works out, change that 30-second number to incorporate whatever trigger it is to make it, for the most part fair. Now, Interacting with any object that isn't a generator for 30 seconds seems fine. That's a totem and anything else. Because, I mean, you could have survivors healing other survivors be an activation. Or anything like that. Look what I see. Speaking of cooperative actions. Or anything like that for 30 seconds. 30 seconds isn't too terrible because it is two actions outside of the killer's tear radius. So if you're breaking totems, I mean two totems, and you're essentially at 30 seconds. Essentially, I say. um, any type of object activation, getting in and out of lockers, hopping windows, you can actually include totem breaking, anything that's not a generator. You can have that scale. And it ain't even got to be seconds, it can be just number of activations that you do on things, you know, hopping X amount of windows or something, or anything that you want, any type of object interaction. A total of 30 seconds shouldn't be that hard to do. Or less, depending on what the activation is, or higher. Being in the killer's tear radius, again, is reduced by 50%. That part right there, I would actually just remove. It doesn't really matter. I mean, you can leave it there to make it a little bit harder for anybody to exploit this particular thing, but it is what it is. It'll stop you from getting anything if you make a number of activations. Like if you're being chased and forced to go through windows, you get 0 activations on window hops and things like that. So, or reduced. Makes sense because you're forcing a survivor into an action. Adoration progress or progression speed doubles when interacting with other survivors or performing a co-op action. So yeah, definitely then, because anything that's not a generator should be activatable on this. I mean, anytime a survivor heals another survivor, they're gonna get stage 1. That may or may not be a good balance. Off the top of my head, I'd say it's a good balance, but I ain't ran the numbers. You know what I'm saying? You take a survivor down, they're left to their own devices to heal, or that particular survivor can, both of them can take a rank up in adoration by healing. Now, well, nah, I ain't gonna say what I was gonna say. Because I know people would have just exploited. As I was saying something, I thought of a initial exploit people would use, so it's not gonna work. What I was going to say is set an activation limit to where X amount of adoration can be gained by like a survivor healing another survivor. Like if all 4 are together, getting that 100% of adoration is kind of crazy. But then I thought about the exploit of, you know, one survivor getting those adoration stacks and just going and playing essentially medic, and they'll get the first initial adoration stack, and then as they go to other survivors, they can just keep healing and healing and healing and healing, so the other survivors don't get those adoration stacks. So you just have like a set medic that gets that, you know, whatever percentage lock, and then he goes around healing everybody. So nobody else has to get stacks. Or on the flip side of that, one person just grabs all the adoration and does everything around the map while everybody else just chills on generators and does things like that, and they become like the one that sets the tone of the match. Survivors unlock self-repression action. Self-repression action reduces adoration to stage 2. Again, if you take that and you shuffle that down to stage 2, which would be would be stage 4, which would be stage 2 now. Take that, shove that there. So they have a chance to regress that back to stage 3, which would be stage 1. From now on, stage 3 is 1, stage 4 is 2, stage 5 is 3. And you can take that and put that on stage 3 down here to get back to 4. Or you can go from 3 to 2, the 2 to 1, or from 5 to 4, the 4 to 3. Either or. And since you're giving survivors away, I wish you would have said how much time it takes. I mean, personally, I would make it 32 seconds, like self-care. And I think from the self-repression, you're already set it to self-care's time. If you have, 32 seconds is already a standard set by the game. It takes quite a bit of time to do it. Also, I wouldn't call it self-repression action because that means it'll be scalable with any other action speeding up things. You definitely, instead of making it an action, want to make it like a cleansing thing that you do at an altar or something like that, and just have the time that you spend cleansing be cumulative. So they can go in, clean off some, leave, go back, clean off some more. And thing doesn't reset unless they tear up again. I wish that's how the pig boxes worked. If I could just work on, this one a little bit, the pig comes by or checks, I can walk away, hide, and go back. But nope, it resets as soon as you let go. So a pig that's not letting you play the actual Saw game and just camping you and rehooking you over and over and over can get away with playing like that. The whole point of playing pig is to make it into a Saw-like game. You knock them down, you put trap on head, they have to find key. Now, I don't believe that they should, by base, allow you to get to all 4 and let yourself go. Because that's kind of not the purpose of the Saw games. Yes, the Saw games are made to let people escape if they change their ways. But any survivor panicking, running from box to box to box to box, obviously they'll fall into Jigsaw's trap, or Amanda's trap in this case, and end up dying. I think the RNG should be better, and I think you should only get 3 choices, with an add-on that makes it 2 choices. During the time that you have the trap on you, if it's activated, obviously you can't leave the arena. I think it should block hatch as well, and it should make or force that survivor to make those choices. I also believe that that particular survivor should go into a particular state to where their vision on their screen and all of that is severely decreased. And I believe that the pig should not be able to interfere with that particular game. And there should be a time limit on it. Then, on top of that, if the pig wants to increase the particular time limit on the person instead of downing them and rehooking them, they can walk over to one of the boxes that are bad, and she can either put in another key to give them, better odds, or she can deactivate one of the traps, which makes the timer on the particular head of the survivor increase significantly to force them to make that choice, as opposed to bullshitting doing generators, getting a box or two here, doing another gen, and things like that. And the methodology of the pig being recorporated like that would put a lot of pressure on survivors that have traps on their head to actually play the game and feel that fear of, I might be fucked here. You know, you got a 1 in 3 chance to go down in a very decreased timer. So you only have enough time to immediately run over and hit both boxes, like a minute or something like that. Whatever the boxes take to do, just make sure they don't have enough time to get through all 3 boxes before dying if they pick wrong. That with add-on that you can run could essentially give the survivor a 1 in 3 chance to survive. Obviously, it'd be an iridescent add-on, and it would make it to where you can only put a mask on the survivor that's on their death hook. Well, on their second hook, I should say. Not their death hook, but their second hook. Because you're technically killing them on their second hook. It wouldn't make sense on their death hook because you could just mori them or just hook them. It defeats the purpose. So you go down, she can't mask you, but the second time you go down, she can mask you, go over, hit a box, and force you to make a choice. 1 in 3 chance of getting out of that. Peg would get so much value, and it would be a terrifying Saw game, like it should have been implemented in the first place, instead of just this bad pig. He puts a mask on you. If nobody completes generator, masks don't even activate. Or if everybody escapes, then you just jump in hatch and you escape. And it's like, bruh, there's no Saw game. What happens to me is pig knocks me down, puts trap on my head, hooks me. I get unhooked, and pig tunnels me instead of going for the other guy. And any boxes that I go to, pig just follows me to the box and redowns me and hooks me again. And I'm like, what the actual fuck? Why are you targeting me? Why are you tunneling me and chasing me when you have 3 other survivors out there without mask on doing generators? And most pigs that I come up against are hardcore tunnelers. They don't just mask you and then go away and let you play the game. They mask you and then they camp the shit out of you. Or if you get unhooked, they go back for you. There's a couple of iridescent pigs that I've ran across. You can tell they're mains and they run it like, not necessarily the Saw game, but they run their ship like a regular killer. You know, they go, they knock you down, they mask you, they hook you, they go after another survivor. It's not them letting you play the game, but they know that you're not going to be on gens for a little bit of time. Generally, it's either through 1 or 2 activations if anybody knows the poor coding that the game has and what boxes to check. You can easily get the mask off in the first 2 boxes that you pick. So it's not a lot of time that you'll have the mask on you, but that is time to where you can chase another survivor if you're a pig and you ain't gotta keep tabs on the other survivor because they ain't doing gens. Unless it's a beginning game and you mask them, then they probably are doing gens. They're gonna check, like 2 of the nearest boxes near them on their way to a gen, work on that shit, get that progress up till another gen finishes. They'll probably even finish the gen that they're on if they have enough time, and then go for the other 2 boxes. This would also increase the power of the add-on that they have that starts everybody in a particular Saw trap. Everybody would start in a Saw trap, and as soon as the very first generator gets done, the mask would would activate. and all of them would be on a timer if they didn't immediately go ahead and go for the boxes. Obviously, having the traps on them, you would have to balance that with giving them a 50-50 chance instead of a 1 in 3 chance with the other add ons and things like that towards the end. So you're not just killing an entire lobby at the start. So they would have 2 out of 4 chances, if not even 3 chances. Because, I mean, you're going to be chasing and downing survivors too. You would have to balance that PTB to see where, an effect on which you can balance that for. But I mean, behavior has people dedicated to that, so they should be able to use their brains to come up with the simple solution of that. And Pigs back on the plate is, a decent killer. People would play her again. Just by power buffing her and implementing her in a different way. And I have ideas like that for each and every killer. I've sat and think about ways of making the killers better. But I mean, if behavior jumped in and they were popped into my stream and they were like, "Well, what are your ideas on the other killers?" Hell no, I wouldn't tell them shit. Because when it comes down to getting a hold of behavior and everything like that, I don't mind making videos talking about different things like that. Because that gets, exposure out and things like that. If I say something that behavior implements, it gives me kind of some clout, even if they don't say about it. The people in the actual forum and things like that, get something, or if they would give me like a special medal or something, saying that, I'm an official reviewer or something like that, some sort of clout because I've gotten my foot in the door. Then I would give them the ideas. I could build a repertoire like Moist Critical or Charlie has with the slap fights. He's gotten to, getting millions of views, independently reviewing slap fights to collaborating with them. Something sort of like that is what I would like to look for. I mean, I ain't gotta have all, the excitement and the on stage mic setup, with the mic setup and, going live and talking to them and things like that. But it would be nice to have some sort of say in the company without having to work for the company. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be this big head that everybody goes to for anything like that. But, if they release something and I give it an honest review and I point out how it can be exploited or something like that, to just have somebody, double check that shit, man. You know? You don't have to, but I mean, if I point an obvious exploit out, like the Haddonfield where you can dead hard through the trash bag, through the porch and all of that, if I go over that and they see it, hopefully they'd be more apt to fix it as opposed to leave it, broken. There's also the Oni glitch where Oni can't pick people up in specific areas. I'm not going to go over that one. Things like that. Oh boy. Stage 4, which we're calling Stage 2, repairing speed is increased by 10%. So these are buffs to the survivors. At least that's what I'm going to assume. Survivors admit a tear radius for 16 meters for 20 seconds every 30 seconds. That is the most convoluted and weird way you could have said that, but I understand what you're saying. Why is my question, though. Adoration progression speed of other survivors within the tear radius doubles while the tear radius effect is active. That wouldn't be bad if it worked on everything that wasn't, or everything except for generators. Again, we come back to the same problem is you're getting all of these buff OP effects off of generators and not actual other objects and activations, interactions, etc., etc. um, I'm gonna have to apologize. My voice is like right now, and I've went on such a long rant earlier that I really can't zone back into where I was. So there is going to be a gap in my knowledge and range. I said for the most part what I needed to say, but essentially for the rest of this, I'm gonna say the same thing. Tweak everything, balance everything, go back in and look at everything. And I actually think it's a good idea to leave everything on a cliffhanger anyway, because I went over the main portions of this, but anybody that stops and looks at my particular review of this gets all the basic information and gets a grasp and could possibly even be influenced by what I'm saying. Instead of going over this full concept, I invite you, the viewer, to click on the link in the description, click on it, and go through stage 4 and below. And the rest of this I'm going to be vague on. This is one of the concepts I can do this on because if they redo the first 3 stages, well, if they review the whole entire concept, everything that I'm going to review now is going to be subject to change. So why be redundant and say something and then have to repeat myself and change everything that I say in the future? So as it sits now, and as we're looking at it, go to the creation review, look at what he says, write whatever opinions and things you have to say on stage 4 and stage 5, balancing, things like that. And let's actually try to do it as a collective community. Anybody that sees this video, obviously you don't have to, you're on your own person. But I ask you to just look at stage 4 and look at stage 5, which is now going to be stage 2 and 3. And see if it's balanced or not. Your own opinions and things like that. And then post it, not in the comments section, because I read comments, but I also look at the forums and stuff too. But post it and help this creator out by posting a comment about stage 4 and 5, or about something that I said about changing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or something like that. If you were to change 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and make 3, 1, stage 2, 4, and stage 3, 5, replace those. Stage 3 could have this balance. Well, stage 4 can have this balance, and stage 5 can have this balance, and you can say the same thing about stage 3. And you can help this creator out, who has a very amazing, very well thought out, and very big brain concept. Again, it's just the implementation. But I'm not expecting people to have these, God tier implementations unless they've worked in the field themselves. People ain't out there creating characters and making games and things like that in this form. We're just people tuning in, trying to get our ideas out, hopefully to get noticed and things like that. So I don't expect perfection, but I do expect higher than an average Joe that just hops on the forum and posts some random BS for people that have, ideas and concepts and things like that and can show through, how much thought and effort's being put into their concept. I hold you to a higher standard because you are better than, the average Joe that makes a 2-sentence killer chapter. They make a killer and a survivor and they call it a chapter versus, having an actual chapter and a concept and everything. If you are good at what you do, I hold you to a higher standard than some guy that just walks in and tries to do what you do. If that makes sense. I know you are better, and I know you can do better, so I hold you to that. So look at stage 4 and look at stage 5 and help this, creator out. I want you to use your own brain. You know the Q syllabus, the things that I talk about, things like that. See if you can apply my thought process to get a balance, and then apply your thought process to get a balance, and then try to balance between both of our thought processes to get like an omega balance if you can. Help this creator out. I think it's Pyman, however you pronounce his name. Help him out. I wish I had like 1,000 viewers that watched. I guess 1,000 would be kind of crazy, but like 40 to 50 viewers that watched every day. I would love to flood this particular post and people to actually have, 20, 30, 40 different ideas posted in this comment section of, support on how good this person actually is. And then some helpful, things to tell him to help him succeed. It'd be nice, it'd be wholesome. Eventually, hopefully, people, start to respect the Q brand and we start going. I mean, I have a very good list of people that I have respect from on this particular creation forum, which is nice. However, having the respect of the actual forum doesn't help me pull in additional people to the actual forum, the creative minds and things like that. It's not going to help me because, the people in the forum are going to check out the videos and talk to me about things like that and email me and things. I have those connection lines set up. I need a way to draw more people in that ain't part of the community and be like, hey, welcome. Special enemy Slimoid, which we learned way at the top that whenever a survivor dies, a Slimoid appears. Slimoid is a small creature about the size of Victor, so it's going to be a reskin Victor. Keep that in mind. That roams around the map. Slimoids have a detection range of 8 meters and 360 degrees of their body. Does that go through walls? Also, 8 meters ain't that far. But does that detection range go through walls? Does it go through floors if the floor is within that particular 8 meters? As a survivor gets close to the Slimoid, adoration progression speeds up, about 5% increase when right on top of. Slimoids will move towards any survivor within detection range. Slimoids leave behind slime puddles, which hinder survivors by 15%. Thank you for putting a percent. So they're literally just puddle generators. They're not actually made to pursue survivors. They're just made to walk around and kind of make things a little bit more difficult for survivors to move through. These puddles linger for 5 seconds. If idle, a Slimoid increases in size after a total of 30 seconds and becomes a big chungus, a big Slimoid. A Slimoid cannot injure a survivor. I like that. You incorporate Victor and a zombie together, except for you're not forcing that particular Slimoid to do things. I mean, I wouldn't have been opposed for you be able to, temporary control the Slimoid to move towards survivors and things and to engage like a killer instinct or something that's within the 8 meters of the Slimoid, or add-on wise, things like that. Or on the big Slimoid. Why do I keep saying big chungus? But it's interesting. Unique. To an extent. Big Slimoid. The big Slimoid only appears when a Slimoid evolves into this form. All things about it stay the same except for the detection range from its small form increases to 16 meters. So double. When close enough to a survivor, it will attack towards them. and it takes 30 seconds for it to become a big slimoid. I would say change the 30 seconds to roundabouts 2 minutes so the big slimoids can actually serve a purpose. If not, then just combine all of both of these together into one thing. You're gonna have it evolve and gestate and all of that. Then you're gonna want it to have, a specific amount of time for it to happen. Instead of 30 seconds after a survivor dies, a big slime, accumulates. If that's the case, then after a survivor dies 30 seconds, a big slime should just pop out of them. And you can just completely grab the small slimoid and put him onto the big slimoid and compress both of them together to create one thing that pops out after 30 seconds to a minute after a survivor dies. And if you're going to do something like that, I would invite you or suggest you this time make it a way for a survivor to get there within the minute or two that it takes to pop out to be able to cancel that particular effect. So survivors don't have to deal with, another thing being on the map without being able to attack it. Or do the exact opposite. And if the particular present that's on the ground after the survivor dies gets interacted with the survivor for X amount of time, the big slimoid turns into a small slimoid and just can't attack until it builds back up to, which takes like 2 minutes or so. So you can at least delay the progress or the process. Anything like that. I would just suggest expanding upon this or collapsing it into one concept just to make it a little bit more unique. You can use Killer Instinct, you can use to where you can view through the particular slimoids or anything like that, which would give you a lot more movement around the map. Especially because at max, your killer is just mouse one killer that has effects that are applied to it. So your killer doesn't necessarily have a huge amount of movement around the map. So when you commit to an action or a way that you're going, you have to essentially fully commit. And if there ain't anything there, you got to do a lot of turning around, a lot of gen patrolling and things like that with a mouse one killer. And this is where we're at right now. It's a mouse one killer that just has a bunch of effects added onto them. So yeah, movement wise, or if you're even gonna supplement movement wise, you're gonna need map reading on top of that or something like that. That's as of now. I still remember the sticky body, which is coming up next, which might change my opinion. But as I am here now, which sticky body, if I remember, blocks off windows, things like that. So I mean, now you're kind of like a trapper that has many minions. But let's figure out what sticky body actually does. Whenever the donation walks over is covered by slime puddles. Slime puddles from the donation hinder survivors by 20%. I could agree with 20% on an iridescent add-on or something like that. But to lose... Woo! What is it, like 0.8 or something like that? 20% of 4. Yeah, it's 0.8. To lose 0.8 speed for stepping in the slime trail is kind of insane. And it increases adoration progress for each second survivors touch them. Slime puddles fade after 3 seconds. So essentially, this is a loop breaker. Somebody's running Kill Shack and you chase them in and you hop out of the window. If they try to loop back into that particular Kill Shack, they're going to be decreased to 3.2 meters per second. And it's a loop breaker. It's a very, very effective loot breaker. It's on trapper levels of loot breaking, but instead of placing a trap, you just have an effect that lasts for 3 seconds. So I would change Sticky Body instead of being like a slug and leaving slime puddles. I would make it to where you can essentially drop slime in particular areas, like almost like slime puddles in particular areas, and make that like an activatable power. Because I mean, this killer as of now, I ain't finished the concept yet, but as of now, has no activatable or active ability or anything like that that it uses. Now, again, it kind of, duplicates Trapper and things like that, but it is its own unique killer because it has to deal with slime. And you can make it shoot the slime out if you're really that worried about it. 20% decrease is still kind of insane. It doesn't say for how long you're hindered by that 20% either. So I'm going to assume by how it's worded, as soon as you're out of the slime puddle, the hinder effect goes away. But if the slime guy's following you outside the window and you have to pass the trail to continue going in, slowing down to that 3.2 meters per second, I don't know how wide the puddle is. I'm assuming it's a fairly thick puddle because it's a taller killer. If it's a small, negligible puddle, then it's going to slow you down to 3.2 for, a very small amount of time. Unless you're rehopping window, then you're going to have to go some convoluted way, which is going to give you a medium vault at the end, not a running vault. So you're probably going to get clapped anyway. But that loop cutting off is what makes this extremely, extremely valuable. Like, holy hell. I'm not going to go too far into this, but after I get done reading the rest of this, I'm not going to give my detailed analysis on this. Again, I want to invite other people to come in and give a super balanced thoughts on changes, things like that. I am going to say I need to know because as of now, I'm just assuming as soon as you're out of the slime, you're no longer hindered. Slime puddles fade after 3 seconds, which is extremely quick. You might not be able to get back to the window and re-hop back through by the time everything happens, but you never know. I'd have to see it in action to give my whole thing, and again, it'd have to be PTB. I mean, if they do follow you through the window, you're probably gonna run a different direction anyway, as opposed to run back to the window because they have a trail. So you probably go to another loop anyway, or use another pallet or something along the way. It's another kind of, if you're going up against Trapper or Artist or something like that, it's a loop ender or a loop breaker, but it doesn't break all loops like the LT walls and the jungle gyms and things like that. It takes more than 3 seconds to get an accurate loop around, and it's not really going to matter because you have the longer loops. The slime puddles ain't going to do anything to you. Vaulting a window covers the window in slime for 24 seconds. Are you crazy? No. It's bad enough that you're already slowed, but now you're just bamboozling everything. Get rid of that. You don't need to cover the window in slime for 24 seconds. Now, I do remember that somewhere up here, 50% reduction in one of these phases. Uh, uh, here at stage 4, which would be stage 2, in this case, you'll only be able to block one window, and the sticky body slime puddles will only appear 50% less frequently. So the puddles are a thing that drops every once in a while, which I wish you reiterated here, because I'm thinking slug everywhere you go, slime's gonna be left. But no, as you're moving, they just drop randomly, so they can be avoided. That makes sense. You can only block one window. But before you get to phase 2, you can block as many windows as you want. Issue being the amount of time that said window stays blocked because, bamboozled and everything else that exists. Tricksters, shebang, and I guess bamboozle is bamboozle the trickster's perk that I'm thinking of? I don't know. But bamboozle and a whole bunch of other perks that revolve around windows. No, bamboozle and the trickster's perks, two different ones. Trickster perk works on survivor doing rushed action or bolting window, where bamboozle is based off killer vaulting window and blocking it. So there's no need for you to have to do anything with completely blocking off a window. Now, what you can do instead of just restricting access is make the window harder. There you go. Bamboozled is the clown's perk. Crowd control is the tricksters. There you go. Bamboozle's clown. What you can do is extend the amount of time that it takes for a survivor to go through a window, especially if that 5% from up above was applied to survivors. That 5% speed increase can now be applied to this particular killer because, I mean, they're technically lubed up, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna go any farther than that. Welcome, Critty. Galanonim says that he's going to be submitting his concept today, so I hope to, by tomorrow, have yours and his done. If not, it'll be done Monday. It all depends on when I go to bed, actually. Because if I fall asleep and or stay up late working on projects and things like that, which I tend to lose track of time, might have to be pushed to Sunday or Monday. But it'll either be tomorrow or the day after. Shooting for Sunday. But if you don't see me on Sunday, it's probably going to be Monday. Monday is the deadline. Even if I gotta stay up Sunday morning and make an episode over it or a video over it, I will. um, Slime windows cause a survivor to come stuck on the other side of the endo when they vault it. Another problem. Not only are you understandable, fair enough. Slime windows cause the survivor to get stuck on the other side of the window when they vault it. I mean, holding them in place, it's worse than a medium vault because you're just gonna get clapped. um, Again, blocking windows, doing things like that, and then even violating the sacred running vault. Like if it's a running vault, I don't think you should be stuck on the other side. Period, because it's literally a running vault. You're getting as much distance as possible, and I don't think slime should be able to grab you. Medium vaults, you're probably going to take a hit anytime that you medium vault. That just seems to be what the game does. So there's no point in holding survivors in place. I would interfere with how survivors go through windows, but I wouldn't necessarily just completely stop them from moving after jumping a window. Can even make it to where they have to click the button multiple times. Maybe the first time they try to vault it fails every once in a while. Don't do that. I'm joking. Please don't do that. But like I said, I'm not gonna go into hard things about sticky body and things like that. I'm gonna throw this in with everything else, and I still would like other people to come in and actually give their personal opinions over the perks and things like that and special abilities, etc., etc., instead of just reiterating what I say and, adding things along. I want them to have as many different viewpoints on the particular subject as possible. If you think it's good and I think it's bad, say that it's good. And then when somebody else goes through and points out, the issues that I said that was bad, they have two perspectives to pull from, as opposed to collecting everything that everybody says into one comment and then sending it at them and they just being like, well, goddamn, it's different because when you hold all power, depending on how you use that power, it's going to be a positive experience for the person and they'll get a little bit of more respect for you, or it can be a negative experience and they just not listen to what you say because you come off as unapproachable or rude or you piss them off. So we would like to see a lot of feedback. Breakdown. I don't know anything else that he can incorporate. Well, they can incorporate into this. Let's see what breakdown does. Press the power button to prepare a glob of slime in the donation's hand. Range attack. Release the power button to throw that glob out. If the glob hits a survivor, the survivor screams and becomes hindered by 5% for 3 seconds. So they'd go down to 3.8 meters per second for 3 seconds. And the incapacitated action for 1 second. I mean, sticky body kind of covers all of that. Honestly, if the globe hits a generator or pallet, the object is covered in slime for 24 seconds. Again, sticky body kind of covers all that. When you go to kick a generator, you can just add that to sticky body, and it just leaves globs on the particular generator. Slime objects inflict an action speed penalty of 10% to survivors using it. You definitely don't want to give survivors any negatives on pallets they haven't thrown, obviously. Plague. Piece up. But like I said, there are things in the game that affect you from doing things like that, and everything that you touch. Plague, again, that I wish was fixed. Shouldn't be able to get sick for throwing a pallet that hadn't been used. I could understand vaulting a pallet that has stuff on it, but it ain't been used, brother. How am I gonna get sick from it? Anyway, 10% action penalty of survivors using it. I would suggest splitting all of those apart, which is going to be a pain in the butt, I know, but you don't want to have a general 10% penalty of everything. A 10% penalty of jumping through a window or vaulting a pallet is different to, a 10% penalty on repairing a generator. It's only 8 seconds, but it's crucial when you're, vaulting windows and pallets. So I would take that apart and really narrow that down percentage wise. But you ain't pissing off people on some things and it's not, doing something else in another way. When a survivor lets go of a slimed object, they become hindered by 5% for 3 seconds. You really love the hindered status effect, huh? And the 3 seconds thing. You realize that if you glob an object and then glob a survivor, they're gonna get hindered and then interact with, I don't know, a pallet or something like that, and then get hindered again. When you are hindering survivors, you are decreasing the amount of things that they can do and the speeds of all actions. So let's say that they're using smashed hit, for example, and they throw a thing that gives them the hindered status effect. That is a very negative interaction that you're going to have there. And they are going to be pissed. Now, again, most of the things you're saying that Breakout does, you literally could just apply to Sticky Body and just cut out all the ranged action. Or you can have Sticky Body apply to Break It Down instead. And you don't need both of these abilities. Because what you're essentially saying is if you touch something, it gets sticky. And if you goop something, it gets sticky. Which, I mean, would make sense, but I mean, come on, man. As much times as you throwing around the hindered status effect, people being stuck on the other side of walls and or windows and things like that, there's no way survivors are going to be able to have movement. And for your killer to have base, movement speed and things like that, or like I said, if you go back in and make everything unique, again, uniquely to a particular slime, which slimes aren't known to be the fastest things in the world. They're actually quite slow. You could balance that to where your killer relies on decreasing survivor speed, and it'd be fine. Frustrating survivors when you're in chase and they get stuck on everything they want by, and just making them scream into their core is a valid killer. Valid killer tactic. But if you're moving at 4.6 meters per second or 4.4 or 4.2 and you're able to get that clapping on them, when they're getting a 0.8 meters per second at reduction, issues. The only thing that I do hope you incorporate is if, let's say, you slime up a window, survivor runs out the other end of kill shack, and you know they're going to cut over back to that window and you hop window. I think when you hop a slimed up window, the slime should go back into your body and should potentially deactivate. Or if a generator's already slimed and you've kicked it or gooped it, and then you go back up and you kick the generator afterwards, I think that slime should go back into your body and force you to either regoop it back up or something like that, or vice versa. So you can't just infinitely keep gooping it. Also, the cooldown on your slime attacks is missing. Because as you sit now, you can just machine gun goop everything. Just nonstop. So charge up, cooldown, the works needs to be applied to that. Perk wise. Okay. Twisted attachment. You become obsessed with one survivor. Obsession perk, huh? After chasing the obsession for 4 seconds, you are already walking a very, very thin rope. Only 4 seconds of chase time, huh? You gain a token up to a maximum of 4 tokens. So you're going to be at max tokens the first time you chase the obsession, is what you're saying here. When the chase ends, the number of tokens on this perk becomes 0. Okay, for each token lost in this way, all survivors' action speed is reduced by 10% by the number of tokens for 15 seconds. So 40% action speed reduction for 15 seconds. Cooldown of only 30 seconds. You can only be obsessed with one survivor at a time. So why not, instead of doing this long, convoluted perk and happen to involve all of this, why don't just do the simple thing and say the first 20 seconds, well, 15 is what it is. The first 15 seconds that you chase the obsession, survivor's action speed are reduced by, and then have a set percentage. Give it a cooldown of whatever time. This is a huge furtive chase buff, though. True. Tunnel to win, I guess. Furtive chase is Ghostface's perk, yes, that reduces his terror radius when he's in chase, right? Am I thinking of the wrong perk? Furtive chase. Furtive. Yeah. It's on obsession hooks, obviously. I never run this perk with Ghostface, by the way. It's actually pointless for Ghostface to run this perk. It's so bad. Yeah, it does juggle obsession on 4 hooks, but I mean, you can't proc this on one chase like the other one. So I do see the similarities in all of that. But I wouldn't say buffed through furtive chase. The problem I have is you're going to get 4 tokens anytime that you chase the obsession. And then when the chase ends, the number of tokens on the particular perk goes to 0. So instead of doing this and getting value after the chase ends, or after you hook the particular survivor and all of that, you would generally want to get the reduction speed on survivors as you're in chase instead of after. As you're in chase and you can't do anything, 3-gen situations and just regular play, it's very imperative that you have the time and the leniency to do what you need to do. So taking all of this away and just saying that while you're chasing the obsession for the first 15 seconds, survivor's action speed's reduced by blank. This will either force a survivor to take chases away from the obsession and kind of keep them safe, or just to work through the pain as the obsession keeps getting chased. So you can take all of this convoluted just mess and simplify it and have a decent perk. Now, at the top of my head, I can't think of any other perks that are similar to this. So I would suggest you go to the Dead by Daylight perks website that I just went on. Control F and just make searches of like obsession and then searches of like action speed and things like that, and just go through the perk list and make sure there aren't any perks that are uniquely close to this. If there aren't any, which I'm not going to look it up right now, then okay. With a little bit more balancing and a little better implementation, you're good. Excessive desire. Your fluid desire becomes your strength. Crazy. You become obsessed with one survivor. Bro, are we getting in with the hindered for 3 seconds thing again? The action speeds of picking up and hooking the obsession are increased by 30%. Why? Why would you care if picking up the obsession and hooking the obsession? Hmm. Because I figured obsession perks you would run with like Rancor, but picking up and hooking the obsession's anti Rancor because you want to get that Mori at the end. Anyway, when a survivor that is not the obsession is put into the dying state by any means while in a chase with you, the dying survivor becomes the obsession. Really? I see where we're going here. I see where we're going here. You cheeky bastard. You can't let survivors change the obsession over by using like decisive strike or anything like that. Actually, there are perks that change obsession over on hooks already available in the game, if I remember correctly. Yo, another obsession juggling perk, but like somehow worse than furtive chase. Yeah, well, furtive chase is one of them as well. I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to keep twisted attachment active at the same or the whole time, and then switching the obsession. So this is a tunneling killer, obviously. The perks state that. Well, this is a tunneling killer perk build, is what I should say. Bubba in the basement would fucking love you, brother. They would absolutely, positively love you. Because any time that they're camping and tunneling a person, the efficiency of the other generators are being hit very hard. They'd love your perk set. This perk don't make sense. It really don't. You literally just tried to carry in an effect to change obsession to supplement twisted attachment when they already exist in the game and are already balanced. So, no. Obsessive desire? Absolutely, positively not. It has no usability, and you're trying to be cheeky and get better plays on your other perk. No, absolutely not. I just imagine that Nophobia with like Ruin or something, and then both of these two perks, or these perks and Rancor and other obsession driven perks. That's just, ugh. Sticky Grasp. After carrying a survivor for a total of 5 seconds, which you're going to do every time, Sticky Grasp gains a token up to a maximum of 9 tokens. You have 16 seconds with a survivor, so you will be getting 3 tokens max per, woo, Jesse. 3 tokens max per activation. And all you gotta do is pick up Survivor, walk all the way to the hook, and as soon as you get your last token, hook the Survivor. You'll have 1 second to hook the Survivor after you get the token activation on it. Or if you're counting, you can just count and hook afterwards. For each token on Sticky Grasp, hooking action speed increases by 5%. Why do you want hooking action speed? What the hell is wrong with you? And Survivor unhook speed action is reduced by 2%. Okay. When this perk has more than 2 tokens, Survivor's maximum escape attempts are reduced by 1. Really? You're really gonna hit slippery meat? Really? We hitting slippery meat now. We really going there. Every day I've streamed, I've said something about buffing slippery meat. And here you son of a bitch come to come and knock that perk back down even more. I'm actually slightly upset by that. The unhook action speed is irrelevant because, well, well, I guess I wouldn't say it's irrelevant Because this is a camping tunneling killer, so it's probably going to be camping in the area. And that's going to give you more time to get grabs. Or if this is going on a Bubba camping, it's going to be freaking amazing for him. But in any type of regular situation on a game with somebody who isn't camping or tunneling or anything like that, this perk holds no value. Because survivors generally unhook and then heal right under the hook. All you're adding in is an extra like second of actions they have to do. Don't really matter. Hooking speed, I mean, the amount of hooking speed you're going to get from all three of these perks added together is scary. But I don't know why you keep wanting to increase hooking action speed. It doesn't matter. It only takes like 1.5 seconds to hook a survivor. And if you keep taking 5% chunks out of it, you're still going to keep getting diminishing returns. It's not that relevant when it only takes 1.5 seconds to hook. Stop it. Get some help. And that can make an 18% increase to survivor unhooking time, which is kind of ridiculous. I mean, when I'm running, I generally run desperate measures, so per injured or dying survivor, I get a 15% increase anyway. But what I see, it just kind of makes me frown because, I mean, you're kind of killing my bonus there, sir, and getting an extra 3% on top of me. So if you are tunneling and all of that, killer gets the advantage there on that 1-for-1. So please rebalance this to make the max somewhere around 15%. For tunneling Bubba's and your camping killer. Cortana, go away. Thank you. Add-ons coming soon. I'll let you get away with it because it says 6 out of 9. It don't say work in progress. Let's see. Realm the city and everything. This is what I've asked. So this person probably does look at my particular Critty. Is this you? Do you have an alternative account called Pieman or Peeman? Is this what this is? Am I exposing you? Are you on another account right now? But this is something that I asked for anybody that's creating a particular map. Do not just explain what the map looks like. Draw me an outline so I can actually see what you're talking about. I would not make a killer like this. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. I was just making a joke, but I do like this. This killer actually ain't bad, to be fair. The concept's not bad. I like the concept a lot. It's just not implemented to the greatest of effects. Like I said somewhere through this is average Joe coming in and trying to make a concept. So I have the bar is higher because they obviously have a brain and a lot of thinking power, obviously. But I'm not expecting them to be on developer level. But yeah, those perks were kind of rough. But perks can be changed. At least the concepts, for the most part, still good. Actually, being able to, yeah, just the Xation is a bit unoriginal in the feel, so it works fine though. Yeah, a little bit more polish. This concept could be one of the greats. Definitely. Definitely. I would have loved to add it to my alternative killers as the twins, but it's not quite the same when you compare them to the twins, which makes me sad. Because that's what I want to do. Because I haven't pulled out the alternative killers thing in a while. And this would be a great rendition. But I'm not going to tell the particular person that took the time and made an entire chapter in maps and all of that to say, hey, you should change this thing and completely dismantle your project so I can use it for my own personal, use. Like, no, I'm not doing that. But that's my thoughts on it. I do like how all of this is. The area has been shrunk considerably, obviously, and doesn't seem to be corroded by the entity's interference. Instead, some doors to further parts of the department have been destroyed and replaced with exit gates. I'm assuming that they're written a scale, and I probably have to click on it to get the actual scale, but I'm not going to. To fill in a lot of the space on this map with large openings surrounding the main elevator shaft in the center of the map, being this. The containment units accessible hold generators. So I'm assuming all of these small dots are generator locations here. um, no. The yellow dots are generator locations. 1, 2, 3. This would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1. You'd probably be looking at 2 there. 3, 4. Hmm. 1, 2, 3. I don't know. Without a syllabus, this becomes impossible, huh? On maps, it's a new concept that somebody's added in. I'm glad to see, but generally, you would just want to write a. It's not even called a syllabus. What the hell is it actually called that's on a map? Is it a syllabus? Why is the word syllabus stuck in my head? What's the thing on the map that shows what all the markings and crap mean? It's not a syllabus. What's it called? A key, that works. That works. There's another name for it. I can't think of it, but yeah, they do call it a key. But I need a key to go along with this to show me what all of these different dots mean. Because if these are generator spawns, then you need 7. If we say one generator spawns in every room, there's 4 there, which would give you 4, 5, 6, and then 7 would be a spawn here. Because it's odd to have a generator only can spawn location either in this corner or right here. Then what does all of this over here do? Like this entire side of the map, what is this? Also on a map, you want to have main building, which I assume is elevator shaft. You need to incorporate where the kill shack is. Generator locations. Map based pallets and vault locations. You don't need every single pallet that's part of every single, key piece or anything like that, but anything that's a vault pallet or a vault place or drop down or anything that's map specific needs to be included. And probably a couple other things that I missed, but those are the main things. Now, the yellow are the generators. So it's 1, 2, well, this would be 4, 5, 6, and then this main area, I guess, only holds 1 generator for 7. In essence, though, unless these are, like huge, huge areas, you would have 1, possibly 2. It's 2, 4, 5. A generator spawn somewhere out here for 6, and a generator spawn out here for 7. And you would have multiple spawn areas in this area, like 3 here, 3 here, 3 here. You would have 3 variants in this particular area and 3 variants in these particular areas to create the whole 7. I don't know what these red dots would be. Maybe pallets, but no, because they're over in the corner. Totem spawns, maybe. Totem spawns. I definitely wouldn't put them in the corner of the rooms. That's obvious. But I'd say totem spawn here, 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 here. 2 spawn locations in here. 2 spawn locations in here. I'd probably increase this to 3, but spawn locations here, which I would incorporate this entire area having like 10 or so totem locations. I think that might be what that is. Because I don't think it's loops, because it would make no sense to have a loop in the corner or a set piece in the corner and then have a set piece right next to it and then have all of these set pieces together and then have open space. So maybe totem spawns, and I would distribute it throughout the entire map. The gray are exit gates. You got one there, or one there, and one there. I hate these exit gate spawns. I would move this one up to this particular corner because you have a hole here, so the killer will have to walk around this way, as opposed to being able to see one exit gate from the other exit gate, because there's nothing here. At least nothing said to be here in the bottom. So I'd definitely move that from here to up there and have it, cat a corner. Or if you do want to show it across from each other, you use the pit and have one here and one here. So the killer can't just walk straight across. They have to walk up and around. Or up and then through some convoluted way that goes across from here to here or from here to here. Like across and then come back in to get to the opposite sides. Only reason I'm saying that is because I'm in process of designing maps and other things like that as well. I have a very beautiful map I might show one day. And that is going to cause a lot of issues. That, you're going to get a lot of complaints from players. You have too many chokeholds or too many choke points. Definitely need to plow this through and allow a way to get through. I mean, it can be convoluted or a window or something. Connection there. You would want to look for a connection between these 2 rooms and possibly even a hallway or something that goes through here that connects all of them together, like almost a T. And then you want to connect these together so you can have access to multiple rooms. This map is super, yes, very choky. You only got one way in that, one way in and out. There. Now these maps are a little bit bigger, but if the killer zones you, you're stuck. There ain't nothing you can do. You can run around like a chicken with your head cut off, but whatever. If a trapper comes in and drops a trap there, and then says, sorry about you, and goes after another survivor, who's probably going to be working on the gen right next to you, and he traps both of these, and then just stands here, he's got 2 survivors locked down that can't do anything but finish the generators they're near. You want to make them accessible to each other. To create a healthy looping environment, you want to make them access to other rooms to where they can get out when they get in, and the kill and the game can have a continuous flow. You'll also want to incorporate a couple of pallets or something in all of these, obviously, so survivors aren't just getting clapped left and right. Designing a map is hard. That's why I ask people to give me a layout of the particular map. Because once you have the layout and you try to think about where to incorporate everything, it becomes a holy shit instead of somebody just going off this paragraph of explaining what a map is and what it looks like, and not understanding that you're not giving me enough information here. You're leaving it up to my imagination to design something, not your imagination. That's why I'm glad somebody finally posted one of these. It's a very good start, but you definitely need to heavily edit this map. And key to go along with this that I don't have to click on. He edited at 127, so he's already doing active edits. Nice. Yeah, that was an hour and 27 minutes after, so he even posted it and then went over and edited it again after posting it. That's what we like to see right there. Hell yeah. Final thoughts. Very good concept. I'm very happy to get a breath of fresh air and to see things actually done for the most part right. For the most part. You look in this, I mean, it's missing the overview and the things that I've mentioned, and some of it's convoluted and things like that, but that's something that you can just sit down and go over and change. You have the basis of everything here that you already have set up that you can just go in and make edits to, you know? We've went from alpha to beta here. Then during the beta, well, I guess this would be alpha because beta would be technically public test beta to see if all of this works. But we're in alpha phase now where you can go in and you can change any of this stuff that you have to go. You want to mention your sources here before Mandy Talks comes and claps your entire concept you work so hard on, though. Definitely come and list some bullshit sources. I don't care if they're the right name or not. Put some random names there. If we don't know who it is, put down like Chaos Kid 568 on Instagram. Lie about it. I don't care. Put something down before you lose your entire concept because some chick is in a bad mood. All of this just needs to be tweaked, you know, power and perk wise. But the rest, well, the map, will fall into place eventually. The map is one of the last things that you should probably be working on. But I mean, any extra time, or if you get tired of your concept, work on the map. Do something else. Make it into, a banger. Very nice. Very nice. Big breath of fresh air. I was able to say new things about something instead of just repeat myself. Go over yours and Galanonim's tomorrow or the day after. Ryan, the NCR. I'm pretty sure that's the copy, Ryan. Got it copied himself for his second profile. Yeah, this is the either his second profile or the copier that copied his initial real profile. You can't say, you can't, bro. You literally just, for fuck's sake. Either copier to the end is all I can say. At least he's consistent in being a piece of shit in everything he does. You know what I'm saying? He literally just posted a picture of a map that somebody else made, popped out a key, threw random shit down. Literally, he just looked at the buildings and said, oh, well, this looks like that, and posted it down, and then added in things. So this is the map. This is the layout of what the map looks like. He added in a couple of buildings and things like that. Maybe. Maybe. And sent it. This is not original artwork. And you probably might want to cite your source. But why not go over it? Ryan the NCR, the biggest thief I think I know. Generator locations. No, it just says generator. You got one, two, three. Also, he's stealing the other guy who just recently added a map to his concept under him. He's adding a map in now. Steals everything. Kinda wish somebody would get this guy out and just completely ban him off of the creation. Because that's all he does is steal things. He don't cite sources or ideas. He just non-stop takes from people. But we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And out of that 11, you have generators and all of these particular buildings and or set pieces, and you have none distributed throughout the entire map. So that's one thing you need to think about. Like, gen locations can go in here. It's one of the areas you miss. Gen locations can go on the main roads. Like in Dead Dog Saloon, can go in corners of the map, can go in between buildings, everything like that. Every single generator being in the building, pretty much building your set piece. And you have way more than 7 generators on there. So if you want to do multiple spawn locations, I mean, cool. It's fine dotting it out like this, but Jesus Christ. Change that. Hooks. Orange. We got a interesting spread out of hooks. I'm pretty sure my man just dotted randomly around places. I'm guessing there are multiple spawns, yes. Still though, dang, yeah, pretty much. Your hook locations are not very well thought out. Pretty sure you just made sure you had a dot near every single location and every single generator. You said, oh, this generator needs a hook. This generator needs one. This generator needs one. This generator needs one. This generator needs one. You know, and every generator got its respective dot, is what you were thinking of. Unfortunately, what you didn't think of is, what if you got multiple survivors over here and you down one and hook one? One comes over to save one. You get chased and you down them over in this corner. Or worse, they get that perk that deactivates any of these hooks that are like this out on their own for 3 minutes. That's 3 minutes on them being able to gangbang this generator without ever have to worry about getting respectively hooked. Before they go down, they're just gonna make sure they go over this corner, and you ain't gonna make it there in 16 seconds, bud. This hook gets taken out, you're in trouble. You have 3 hooks within sight of each other right here. For what reason? If this one gets taken out, I guess you still have 2 other hooks, but then within this one, you have one here. Like in this small area, you have a conglomeration of breakdowns, what I'm thinking about. There you go. One salvo and breakdown, there's nothing you can do. In here, you have 5 an oversaturation of hooks in this area. And hopefully this ain't a boat or something, because you're screwed. If this is a boat and this is like a higher structure with multiple floors or anything like that with boil over, etc., etc. Because like from this map, they all look like they have multiple upstairs areas and things like that. So boil over is gonna beat your absolute ass jumping out of any of these places. You're gonna have people breaking out of you. I mean, if you're hooked, you go down here, you're good. But you know, dotted areas like this ain't making much sense, friend. Here, you have a hook. Here, you have a hook. Here, you have a hook. Here. Anytime that you're gonna come across multiple survivors in areas like this, you're gonna have a hell of a time getting a survivor hooked here and another survivor coming in trying to save them, knocking them down, and getting all the way over to this hook before another survivor just comes in and takes them and goes. So your hook location probably needs to be redone. And the fact that none of these locations on the general map, except for like one, and not the boat, none of these hook locations are actually inside of the loops. Not one hook's inside of a loop. Some of these loops come pre-designed. There's always a locker in one corner. There's always a, pallet in one side, etc., etc. So you should also keep in mind that when you're picking up loops and everything else that you're trying to incorporate into the map and all of these different buildings and all of that and the set pieces, which I think you forgot to incorporate some of these set pieces that are in the game, you gotta think about that. Set pieces exist in almost every map, and it's arguable that it's almost every map. Because some maps have set pieces, they're just not the same wall setups that you have. Like Stranger Things. Stranger Things actually incorporates every single set piece in Dead by Daylight, except for you have to look for them. Midwich is arguable. I haven't taken the time to look around that fucking map because, well, yeah. So I ain't checked around Midwich. I'm pretty sure they've probably used every set piece somewhere in that particular map, but I mean, it's already convoluted as can be. RPD is a piece of shit map. We don't talk about it. But most map incorporate set pieces, especially if it has an outdoor area. It's going to have set pieces. Those set pieces should be lined up, you know. Chest. You have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 chests. Okay, okay. Chest locations are kind of wonky, and it looks like you put some chests in areas like this because you had nothing else to incorporate into that particular spot. Notice that Dead by Daylight, when they have hills or anything like this, in this case, I guess it would be a circle building that, you know, similar to that. You'd have a circle building or anything. That'd be the equivalent of a hill. Put a hook in there. Put a hook in a chest. Some maps have both. You can have more than one thing in one area. Think about it. Chest locations seem for the most part fine, but I mean, they're chest locations. As long as they're spread about the map, you're not going to have that big of a deal. Basement, the two basement locations that you have will dictate either both of your main buildings or where your kill shack and main building are. So looking at this, this right here, whatever this is supposed to be, is your main building of your map. In your main building, you have one generator location. You have hooks there, there, and there. One out of each exit, which is arguably bad, especially with all of this. I would definitely probably get rid of that one. But, or that one. You can put that one inside there if this is a building, and then you'll only have these two across from each other, which ain't too terrible. But you don't need all three of those, so slide that one inside there. And then this would have to be your kill shack. So, one thing you forgot to do is vault points and pallets. Very important aspect of the game. If this is your kill shack, way over here in this corner, It's not lined up properly for one. You want your door to be here where the pallet sits. This would be the window, and this would be your door out. Or if you spin it around, the exact opposite. This would want to be here, and the window would want to be here on the opposite side. Here and here, or here and here. So this building's incorrect, being kill shack. Can't be used. It's not a setup map like Haddonfield where it's a bunch of buildings and things like that. You'll actually need your set pieces and you'll actually need your kill shack. If you want to set it up like Haddonfield, you're gonna have to change the entire aspect of the map. If you say fuck all set pieces and all of that, then you're definitely going to have to incorporate where every single window is and every single pallet is, as well as totem locations and things like that. There are a lot of things that you forgot to mention that needs to be incorporated into your map. And if you would have just looked up Dead by Daylight maps and got the what I'm going to call key or syllabus and actually found out things that are incorporated into an actual map instead of stealing shit from somebody else's concept and then adding a couple things to it that you think that they missed, you would have a complete map. Pirate. So we have Survivor 1, Survivor 2, Survivor 3, Killer Perk, Killer Power, movement speed 4.5 meters per second, tear radius 34 meters. Are you just doing this just to be, an issue? Because I know you steal everything and you kind of a POS in everything you do, but do you really got to make everything difficult? Do you really got to be that douchebag guy that does that? I'm actually not going to go over all of this. Summons Tentacle. Causes fear. In front of Pirate. Over fear causes blindness. Pawns surrounded with tentacles will spawn where survivors are injured. And they'll decrease survivors' crap. Perk wise, I know how you are, NCR. All of these perks and things like this are other people's perks that they've made that you've edited a little bit and then you fucking stole. Same with survivor perks and all of this. These are literally stolen. Treasure hunter, survival instinct, and exploration, those are literally stolen word for word off somebody's things. I'm not going to go over all of these. Most of these, if not all of them, are stolen perks, and you already have a bad rep under me. Not wasting my time on going over somebody else's perks when I can just view their concept. You seem to be doing goddamn well. 4 views, 4 replies, including yours. You're doing damn good, Gritty. Hell yeah. How would you feel if Dead Hard was removed from the game? I honestly wouldn't care if it was replaced with something more usable. Oh, neutral. Kind of sad slash angry. Things shouldn't be removed unless it's unavoidably absolutely necessary. That's not true. You are the type of person that hates change. It's a very bad attitude to have. Things shouldn't be removed unless it's unavoidable or absolutely necessary. Things should always be added and things should be removed as the game progresses. and as it adapts. You should never try to hold something to one particular standard unless the thing getting removed and or altered is just complete bullshit. Like actually 110% just, killers no longer have the ability to attack. Survivors win all games, just off the wall bullshit. As much as I disagree with some of the changes that behavior does, at the end of the day, I still understand that they have to adapt and they have to keep up with the times. I do understand that. Despite what I say, I also understand both sides of the case. And I can't think of any situation where that would actually be the case. Worst case scenario is Dead Hard gets reworked. I'd still be annoyed about, even though I play killer, I don't like seeing games make stupid decisions after all. Well, not only do you not like change, you're not even open for discussion on what would replace Dead Hard or what would come after Dead Hard or, anything like that. You're kind of the worst kind of person in the world, and this is why, we still have, prejudice, racism, and things like that. You're against this particular type of person and or people, and that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. And that's just it. And you go about your life living that way. That's why our government's fucked up. That's why our judicial system's fucked up. That's why America's fucked up. Because people have that type of attitude. Well, we really shouldn't get rid of this or change this or remove it because unless it's absolutely necessary. And I can't think of any situation where that actually be the case. Because you personally can't think of a particular situation is why things shouldn't change. What kind of bullshit high horse are you sitting on, sir? Worst case scenario, Dead Hard gets reworked. And I know it kind of makes me a hypocrite earlier when I was talking about that guy, the previous concept about things needing to be changed. I'm aware of it. You ain't got to point it out. You ain't got to comment it. You ain't got to go through there. I'm aware of it. I'm aware of me making fun of people yesterday, saying something and then immediately counteracting it and being contradictory towards it. I'm aware of the statements I'm making before I say them. Trust me. But I do want to point out the fact that this is just a bad attitude to have. And a lot of people carry this particular mediocre, attitude. Most people in the world are mediocre. It just happens. You have to have mediocrity in order for people to actually excel. If everybody were big brain, geniuses, then the standard of the world would be big brain. And to exceed that and to be great in what you do, you would have to be putting out a lot of work. But I'll digress. Seeing Dead Heart gone, I'd be very neutral for. I wouldn't be happy and I wouldn't be sad. Yeah, it's a good perk, but when I run Dead Hard, I find myself having to use Dead Hard not to avoid a hit necessarily, but to get that speed boost to get to a window or a pallet or something like that just to ensure my safety. Or if the killer's coming up on me, I'll turn around and Dead Hard through them for some FOV tech and either run straight back through them again when they turn around or continue along backwards to hit a 360 or to get to a pallet or something that I passed up. I try to put myself in a situation where I can't get dead harder. Dead harder is the old school thing when you would dead hard and you would end up taking a hit and being downed with the exhausted status effect. They fixed it for the most part, but I mean, dead harder is when your dead hard doesn't work as it's intended to work. Hmm. And it's extremely hard to get rid of the server lag and all of that without making dead hard or without extending dead hard's usability. Because as it sits now, it's perfect. It's enough to get you away from one hit. But once that killer gets off that cooldown, you're getting clapped immediately after if you ain't made a move. If they extend the time of the dash and all of that to give you more iframes, then that gives you a lot of extra time to, even if you don't necessarily immediately make a move, you still have, that time and boost of speed to get that extra distance from killer. If it worked how it was supposed to work, things would be better. But I like that it's a skill based thing that you have to hit, even though a latency thing can fuck you over. I like that it's a skill based thing and not like an automatic dodge. Despite me saying multiple times I wish it worked automatically. That's not necessarily true. I like the skill base of that. And anybody that says Dead Hard should be automatic, you're crazy. If it's an automatic dodge, you should only be able to use that shit like once every generator that you pop. Because that's crazy, being able to just take a hit, essentially getting an endurance status effect without having to go through the additional mending and things like that. Actually, I wouldn't even say once a generator. I would say you get like, I can't say one activation a game because it's bullshit, but once a hook activation? On your last hook, you don't get it though? I don't know. You would have to do some crazy ass balancing, is what I'll leave that at. I've been on for what seems like ages. Yeah, I was about to say about 4 hours. It is 3 hours and 40 minutes in. I really went ham today, but I guess I do owe it to people stopping by and people that are actually interested in what I have to say. Because I ain't been putting out very much, very good content. I mean, that Friday Night Funkin' or Robot Funky Friday I did, yeah, like almost 20 views on that shit. It was fucking insane. People on Twitch loved that shit. Fucking YouTube side loved that shit. I had views on views on views by the end of it. Taking out like the 5 bots that stopped by, that's still like, 13 people. It's a very huge increase than my regular videos. Splinter Cell pulled in a crowd. A lot of things that I'm doing gaming wise is pulling in a lot more content than the actual review side. So I will possibly be incorporating more games. It's just that I don't know what games to do. I've been thinking about doing like a Destiny 2 or a Tomb Raider run, the latest Tomb Raider game that I never seen, played, or anything. Possibly even a Phoenix Point run through for those of you like XCOM. But I don't know. Still debating. I want a banger of a game that I know is fun. That's why I did the Funky Friday and all of that. It's still semi relevant, and the creators that have been posting it have been getting massive views. So I know I'm going to have higher view count and things like that. And that's how it works. But thank you, anybody stopping by. Today's review was fairly fun. Despite me biting my tongue and my voice going out and being sick, I ended up doing a longer stream than usual. Things were fun. There was a lot of new content, things like that kept me interested. I feel at least as though I have put out better content than usual. So I named an episode and all of that, like usual. Got another banger coming out with Critty and Galanonim's perk or killers. I want to do it Monday now. after putting out this special. But I mean, back-to-back bangers on Saturday and Sunday sound very well, or very good as well. I just won't have full brain restage in between them. But hell, people have been posting like crazy since Christmas. Yeah, there's been a decent amount of posts. I mean, like this right here, you can't really incorporate because all of this together is technically just things from the past with one extra thing popped into it. And that's happened a couple times in different posts. But yeah, people have definitely been increasing that postage. Like they missed this forum. I was like, holy crap, I can start back up again. There it goes to show you. You can't stop somebody's passion. Mook's had so much stuff dragged up as well. Yeah. Yeah. I've already done the majority of his stuff, so I'm not going over it again. All his stuff I did in past videos, so I skipped it all. The second coming of it. And some other people's been posting. Some stuff's been decent, other stuff's been like two sentences. Ryan the NCR, I wish he would go away though. The other guy, I don't even remember the other guy's name. It was Ryan the something. Ryan the Kid or something like that. I don't remember. That guy is the respectable one that has like thousands of posts. This is either his second account, same profile picture, all of that. I don't know who this is. If it is, because he called him out as being an imposter, but ever since then he's never said anything to him. So I think he's just bullshitting so he don't get picked up and banned by a mod. I think it's the same guy. The regular account he keeps pristine. In this account, he's just a scumbag that goes around stirring up trouble. Either way, I'm off for the day. We're up to almost 4 hours worth of streaming. I think I did a good job. I thank you. I thank you. I'll hopefully pick up everything tomorrow and be able to knock another, two bangers out. And from there, we'll just see what pops up on the forum. Until then, I am Q. And as always, supplement your lifestyle. And I will see you next time. Peace. And if you send anything on Discord, I'll be on at like 8 p.m. unless I go back to